I time-traveled 5 years into the future. I married my ex-boyfriend who has now become successful, and I'm carrying his child, but he seems to really hate me. I proactively cooked, but he wouldn't take a bite. What did you put in the food this time? I offered myself to him, but he laughed coldly. Are you trying to get another woman into my bed while I'm vulnerable? I advised him to live a good life as a family of 3. The man suddenly turned into a pitiful little dog. Do you still want to humiliate me with the child? Oh my God, why isn't the child his? Last night, she both spent the whole night. The insatiable dog man almost cost me half my life. Shibo, I habitually ordered him, pour me a glass of water, but no one paid attention to me for a long time. The silk sheet slipped down with the movement, revealing the close-fitting camisole nightgown. After such a rough night, there were surprisingly no marks on my body. Wait a minute. I stared in shock at my lower abdomen. What is this slight bulge? Am I pregnant? The room is very unfamiliar, with a white and gray color scheme, and luxury is evident in every detail, but I clearly remember. Last night was with Shibo in his rented room. The old wooden bed creaked all night with his rough movements. 2. In a panic, I instinctively dialed Shibo's number. Is something wrong? He is so indifferent. I bit my lip, feeling both anxious and wronged. Where did you go? To the company car repair shop. There was a pause. The thin voice came through the phone line, seeping cold. You plan to use my past as material again, right? What past? I only felt confused. Aren't you working at the car repair shop? Also, we were clearly at your rental last night, so how come today? Beep. The words were not finished. Only a busy tone remained. Shibo actually hung up the phone directly. Dogman, I cursed angrily, just as I was about to call back. My gaze suddenly froze on the screen. The year 2030, now, is it already 5 years later? I stared rigidly at my bulging belly, and only then did I realize that I might have traveled 5 years into the future. I'm still pregnant. There was an old photo on the bedside table, the brightly dressed me, and Shibo, who was wearing a sleeveless vest and had a tough look on his face. After calming my emotions, I called back again. Shibo, we got married, right? How many years have we been married? How could my dad agree to me marrying you? I am eager to know what happened in these 5 years, however, but Shibo seems to have misunderstood something. He gave a bitter smile and said, Wenli, you want to tell me that you regret it, right? This is the 3rd time you have mentioned divorce this month. He paused and said, I have said before, I do not agree to divorce. 3. Who wants to divorce you? I am surprised. That thin face, that dog-like waist, that jackhammer-like stamina. Now seems to be quite wealthy. How could I be so unwilling to part ways with him? The other end of the phone was very quiet, so quiet that I could even hear his suddenly quickening breath. A long time, he said lightly, as you wish. Before I could say anything, the call was hung up again. No, why is this man being so willful now? I guess it's because I've spoiled him. A man should not be spoiled. Knowing that I am now at home, my anxious heart finally relaxes. I am preparing to change into some clothes and go downstairs. I opened the wardrobe, but was instantly stunned. A riot of colors. The styles are all tasteless, one worse than the other. TSK, is this the vision of my future self? I reluctantly picked a relatively simple dress to change into and slipped on my slippers to go downstairs. Unexpectedly, I ran into an acquaintance downstairs. Aunt Wang. I was overjoyed. Aunt Wang was the housekeeper who had been with my family for over 20 years. In a strange future, meeting someone I was close to made me feel particularly at ease. Just in time, I said affectionately as I took her arm, I'm preparing to cook a meal for Shibo myself. With your guidance, I'll be confident. Aunt Wang's face looked a bit complicated. She hesitated for a moment and said in a soft voice, Miss, are you planning to trouble the master again? Trouble? Thinking about my pitiful cooking skills. That word wasn't an exaggeration. She wanted to persuade me again, but I interrupted her. I know Shibo, even if it's unappetizing, he will stubbornly finish it. 4. In the kitchen, I subtly asked about the past 5 years. 5 years ago, I defied my family's opposition and married Shibo. After marriage, Shibo quit his job to start a business for a better life for me. Although my dad looked down on this poor son-in-law, he secretly provided a lot of support during the early days of his business. Shibo indeed lived up to expectations. In 5 years, he transformed from that poor boy into a rising star in Haicheng. I heard it from Aunt Wang. Shibo's current assets and status have far surpassed my dad. It's just, Aunt Wang helped me simmer the chicken soup, hesitating to speak. Miss, you and that Lin Chi haven't broken up yet, Lin Chi. I rummaged through the vegetables in the pot and casually asked, who is that? Aunt Wang was clearly taken aback. Your boyfriend. I almost choked on my saliva. We exchanged a glance. Did I cheat? Aunt Wang nodded with deep sorrow. He's also a mechanic. You say you want a divorce no matter what. Before he could finish speaking, footsteps were heard from outside. Aunt Wang immediately stopped speaking. I turned around and saw Shibo 5 years later, his slacks wrapped around his long legs, the shirt sleeves were neatly tied to the second button, mature and careless. He had lost some weight, his features were more sharp. Although I already knew the man in front of me was my legal husband, I still felt a bit flustered by his good looks. You are back, yeah, so indifferent, but thinking about it, I did cheat on my brother, so it's no wonder he can't give me a good face. Taking a deep breath, I put on a smile and forced myself to clean up the mess for my future self 5 years later. Are you tired? You go wait for me outside. The meal will be ready soon. The thin fabric brushed over my slightly bulging belly. Loosely tied apron, the tone is flat, no appetite. Saying this, he turned on the kitchen's fresh air system. He turned around and wanted to leave. Shibo. I stepped forward with the spatula, unable to help but act cute. The meal will be ready soon. It's all your favorite dishes. Just give it a try. Okay, I'm not hungry. Shibo turned around and left the door. Aunt Wang beside me cautiously asked, Miss, should we still make this dish? I sighed. Let's make it. 5. The meal is ready. 4 dishes and a soup, all are home-cooked dishes. He said he wasn't hungry, but still sat down at the dining table. I thought there was a chance, so I quickly picked up a shrimp and put it in his bowl. Miss, Aunt Wang whispered beside me, the son-in-law is allergic to shrimp. I'm done for. I immediately took it back. I replaced it with a piece of braised pork. He sat back slightly, not willing to pick up his chopsticks, watching me leisurely. Go ahead. What kind of drug did you put in the food this time? I was stunned. I didn't. Shibo's sarcastic voice interrupted me. You've cooked twice this year. Once you put laxatives in the food, and once you put sleeping pills, just because I refused to agree to a divorce. Wenli. What drug is it this time? I looked at him in shock, speechless. I really didn't put any drugs in. To prove it, I hurriedly picked up a piece of meat and stuffed it into my mouth. It's really not poisonous. Gag. Shibo's face turned dark, and he even reached into my mouth to pull it out. He said grumpily, I can eat it, can't I? I've already taken the poison. You don't need to go this far. I pushed him away and swallowed the piece of meat in my mouth. It's not poisonous, it's just a bit tasteless. A strong meaty smell. Shibo looked at me for a while. He turned around and sat back down. I'm not sure if it was my imagination, but it seemed like he curled his lips slightly. Shibo finally started to move his chopsticks. I carefully observed his expression. Sure enough, the moment the food entered my mouth, despite his expression management like Shibo, he couldn't help but frown. But he has been through tough times. Even though it was unappetizing, he still almost finished it. Seeing that he was in a good mood, I seized the opportunity and said, Shibo, tonight, I want to talk to you. Shibo's hand holding the chopsticks stiffened. I don't have time. This person's expression turned cold again, slamming the chopsticks down heavily. I have to work late tonight. Let's talk about it later. 6. I sat by the table, resting my chin and lamenting my bad luck. 5 years of memory loss. What's the difference between this and dying 5 years early? I still have to clean up the mess for my future self. Chasing a husband to his funeral, even becoming the mistress of the boss is a fickle person, changing face faster than turning a page. I sighed. Aunt Wang hesitated and asked, Miss, are you still planning to talk about divorce with the master tonight? I was stunned. Do you think I wanted to talk about divorce with him tonight? No, isn't it? Aunt Wang muttered in shock. This past year, you've been determined to divorce the uncle. Every time you saw him, you either forced him to sign or urged him to let go. I remembered the look on Shibu's face just now. So, he suddenly changed his expression and insisted he had no time tonight. Is it because he's afraid to hear me talk about the divorce again? This fool. 7. Shibu worked in the study until late at night. When I was about to fall asleep, I heard footsteps outside the door, walking through the hazy night. Stopped outside the door, sleepiness vanished instantly. I got out of bed holding my pillow. I opened the door. I met Shibu's fragile and surprised gaze. He paused, then slowly put out the cigarette he hadn't lit. Shibu. I called him softly. He looked at me with a complex expression. then pressed his temples with a frown. I'm very tired, he paused. If there's anything, let's talk about it tomorrow. Having said that, he again wanted to leave. I bit my lip and followed him, one hand holding a pillow, the other arm around his. She both froze. I looked up at him. I don't want to sleep alone, I'm scared. He turned his head away. Again, he refused me. I have work tonight, I'm very tired. I won't move around, I assured sincerely. I'll just sleep next to you, nothing else. I won't disturb you. Shibo didn't say anything. The Adam's apple rolled quietly. As you wish. I followed him into his room, happily hugging a pillow. What a bland room. After all, he is the CEO. But apart from a bed and a wardrobe, there was nothing else in the room. There was an old photo of me on the bedside table. I wanted to take a closer look, but Shibo was quick and swiftly stuffed it under the pillow. I've been having nightmares lately. Put a photo on the bedside table to ward off evil. Stubborn. Still being stubborn, Shibo lay down with his back to me, ignoring me completely. I hesitated for a moment. I directly wrapped my arms around his waist and leaned in, but the next second, my hand was shaken off by him. Shibo turned around, his face bathed in a cluster of moonlight, looking sorrowful. Wenli, are you planning to stir my emotions again and then stuff other women into my bed? He closed his eyes for a moment, suppressing the surging emotions. After all this trouble, was it just to leave me and find that person? I was completely stunned, my heart ached, and I suddenly felt a bit of pain for Shibo. What have I done to him in these 5 years? I don't know how to explain. I can only carefully take his hand and say, Shibo, will you believe me? I don't want a divorce, we have a baby now, so let's live well as a family of 3, okay, but my words seemed to have completely hit a sore spot for Shibo. He trembled and pushed me away. The sorrow in his eyes was so heavy that it was about to overflow. Wenli, do you still want to use this child to humiliate me? Humiliate? I suddenly remembered Aunt Wang's unspoken words, and a bad premonition came to mind. Damn it. This kid, maybe he's not also Shibo either. 8. I was so shocked I could hardly speak. Shibo no longer looked at me. He picked up the bedding, got up, and seemed to be planning to move to another room to sleep. Shibo, I bit my lip and said, I have something I want to tell you. It might sound a bit crazy. I came from 5 years ago, and the night before I was with you in your apartment, you were really terrible. And we had sex 7 times that night. Of course, that's not the point. When I woke up, I found that 5 years had passed. I licked my lips and, under Shibo's almost foolish gaze, I nervously finished my last sentence. The one who cheated is my future self. I do like you. A dead silence. Shibo remained silent until the silence could no longer contain his anger. Wenli, I quickly responded. I'm listening. He smirked. So, the one who cheated is your future self. Not the you from 5 years ago who just slept with me in the rental apartment. I nodded vigorously. Yes, I just hope he believes me. Suddenly, Shibo laughed. The laughter was laced with mockery. Do you think I'm stupid? Shibo pried my fingers open from his sleeve, took the quilt, and left, saying, go to sleep early. His action of closing the door was gentle, yet it was deafening. I sat on the bed feeling discouraged. And then, it made sense. Put yourself in someone else's shoes. If Shibo had cheated multiple times, then came to me and said that the cheating was actually done by his future self, and that he came from the past to want to live a good life with me, I will definitely slap him twice, treating me like a dog. 9. Sleepless night. The next day, I went downstairs with heavy dark circles under my eyes. And Shibo had already gone to work. Aunt Wang persuaded me to eat some breakfast. After thinking for a long time, I decided to go to the hospital. Aborting this child, from Aunt Wang, I found out that my partner and I hadn't had sex in almost a year. So, this child definitely isn't Shibo's. I don't know why my future self will do such a thing 5 years from now, but this child cannot be left behind. Made an appointment with the obstetrics department. However, the car just drove out of a street, passing through a small road, suddenly blocked by a motorcycle that skidded to a stop. The rider is a young man, wearing work pants and a black short-sleeve shirt. At first glance, he looks just like Shibo from back then. When he took off his helmet, what was revealed was a completely unfamiliar face, handsome, rebellious, and flamboyant. He walked to the side of the car and tapped on the window with his fingers, looking at his lips. He was calling my name, Wenli. I rolled down the window. Who are you? The boy pressed his palm against his chest, looking heartbroken. It's only been a few days. Have you forgotten me, sister? He pinched my face a little. Is it my fault for not contacting you these past 2 days? I've been busy with racing lately, don't be mad, I'll make it up to you today." The boy raised an eyebrow, defiant and unruly. "I think I know who he is now, Lin Chi. It seems I haven't been completely forgotten." I frowned and decided to clear everything up. "Since we met today, let's just get everything out in the open," he smiled, looking like he was ready to listen. "No matter what our past relationship was, everything ends today. I have a family now, and I won't get a divorce. You're young, and it's not worth your time to be with a married woman. Let's just end it here, okay?" The boy didn't say anything. He quietly took 2 puffs of his cigarette, then turned his head and blew away the smoke, laughed softly. "If you're tired of playing, just throw it away. Are you treating me like a dog, sister?" I was just about to speak, looked up, following Lin Chi's gaze. I saw Shibo in the distance. I couldn't see his expression clearly. I could only see the shopping bag he was holding. "It's from my favorite cake shop." 10. Caught off guard, my heart ached for a moment. "Shibo." I hurriedly got out of the car, and the door hit Lin Chi. He let out a muffled groan. "Are you really that heartless, sister?" But I really didn't have time to pay attention to him. As I ran closer, I met Shibo's gaze, indifferent, disappointed, and upon closer inspection, there was a hint of grievance. He looked at me in silence. It seemed so. He had experienced such moments more than once. "Here." He handed me a bag. His tone was low. "The cake you loved 5 years ago." He looked at me quietly, as if deliberately trying to confirm something. "You still like it, right?" A near sour and dull feeling spread from the heart. So he still believed my time travel story. While I was stunned, Shibo's hand remained raised, a bit stiff, until he let his hand down slowly, as if losing all strength. I quickly took the bag. I love to eat. To prove it to him, I took out a cake from the bag and took a bite. "The cream is sweet and greasy." I smiled, but felt like crying a little. "It's very delicious." Shibo also smiled. He said, "Wenli, I thought about it all night last night. You said you came from 5 years ago." I can believe it. It's not that I believe, it's that I can believe, even if this reason is awkward and absurd, even if he is a staunch materialist, but he still does. You can believe me. 11. Aunt Wang saw me and Shibo enter together and was taken aback for a moment. Then she smiled and said, "Miss, what would you like to eat for lunch? I'll go prepare it." Her gaze shifted back and forth between me and Shibo. She was also happy for me. "No need," Shibo said softly. "Let's go out to eat." Seeing Shibo sitting on the sofa, I also shamelessly scooted over. "Shibo, just now," I explained. "I originally wanted to go to the hospital, but as soon as I went out, I was blocked by Lin Chi's motorcycle." I made it clear to him, no matter what our relationship was in the past, it ends here. Glancing at his expression, I murmured softly, "Besides, he is not my type." Shibo frowned slightly. My heart tightened, afraid he wouldn't believe me. I was about to explain again when I suddenly heard him ask, "Go to the hospital, what's wrong with you?" I bit my lip, and when I mentioned the child in my belly, I felt embarrassed to speak. Abortion, no matter what the future me ultimately did to lose my heart, adultery, and I got pregnant with another man's child. This would be a great disgrace for any man. Shibo didn't say a word. A long time, he raised his eyebrows and said, "Let's reschedule, I'll accompany you." Okay. 12. The surgery is scheduled for a week later. In the next couple of days, he and I tacitly agreed not to mention this matter. He would come home very early every day to have dinner with me. He would also accompany me for walks in the garden. He would also, under my insistence, sleep in the same bedroom with me. Yet he always turned his back to me. My past with Lin Chi is like a thorn stuck in each other's hearts. Can't say it. Can't swallow it. I have wanted to say something to him countless times, but in the end, I couldn't say a word. I can only silently watch outside the window until the night fades and dawn breaks. My state instantly collapsed. Aunt Wang is worried about my health and heats up a cup of milk for me every night. She feels sorry for me. "Miss, since you've changed your mind, you should have a good talk with the young master. Heart knots can always be untied. How can you mistreat your own body like this, having been together for more than 20 years? Aunt Wang has long been like family to me." To accompany me, she took me to the mountains to relax. The mountain road is winding, and many young people race and drift here. The roar of the motorcycle makes my heart tremble. The driver parked the car at the observation deck on the mountain top. There were many motorcycles parked nearby. Aunt Wang helped me get out of the car and said, "Take a look at the scenery here. It can help you feel better. You have always been too sensitive." Keeping everything inside you, you'll end up having problems if you keep doing this. She spoke softly, nagging away. I responded half-heartedly, until a motorcycle came around the bend, passed by me, and suddenly braked. Be careful, Aunt Wong protected me behind her. I staggered a bit, steadied myself, and the guy on the motorcycle put his long leg down, taking off his helmet, a mischievous smile. Come see me race, sister. It was Lin Chi again. My face changed. And I turned around to get on the bike, but my recent condition was too poor. In a daze, I tripped over a stone under my feet. Be careful. In Aunt Wong's startled cry, someone steadied me. After I steadied myself, I pushed Lin Chi away with force. I just went up the mountain to clear my mind. If I had known you were here, I wouldn't have come. He maintained the posture of supporting me and paused for a moment. I withdrew my hand and smiled casually. I know, my sister dumped me last time. Feeling down, Lin Chi went to pick up the motorcycle that had been thrown in a moment of panic. Do you want me to take you for a ride? No need. I turned around and got on the bike. Aunt Wong quickly caught up. Miss. She looked out the window at Lin Chi, and whispered. Are you really going to break it off this time? Seeing me nod, she smiled happily. That's good. The car drove down the mountain road. Outside the car window, the mountain wind messed up the boy's hair. He kept looking down the mountain. No one knew what he was thinking. 13. Shibao came back a bit late tonight, exhausted. I wanted to take his coat, but I ended up empty-handed. Shibao casually threw his clothes onto the sofa, loosened his tie, and said, I'm a bit tired. Let me rest for a moment. I know, I made the dishes you love. Give it a try. Shibao suddenly got angry. I said I'm very tired. Can you let me have some peace for a while? The cup in front of him was picked up and smashed on the ground. The splintered pieces grazed my calf. It hurts a bit. Shibao regained his composure, feeling somewhat regretful. Sorry. Aunt Wong ran over and brought the first aid box. Shibao went to take it, but Aunt Wong avoided him. She was a bit intimidated by Shibao, but still choked out, saying, Mr. I know I don't have the right to speak here, but I really care about the lady. Since you've already decided to live together well, you shouldn't have any grudges anymore. She's been in really bad shape lately. She's been carefully watching your expression every day. Today on the mountain, she almost fell, but it wasn't for Aunt Wong. I interrupted her. Give me the first aid box. You can go out now. Aunt Wong realized she had said too much, sighed, and shoved the first aid box into my hands. Shibao didn't say anything, crouched down and started to apply medicine to me. No need. I tried to pull away, but my ankle was held tightly by him. There's blood. He squatted in front of me. The motion of applying medicine was very gentle. I was too emotional just now. Sorry. I looked down at him. Do you have something on your mind? Shibao's movement paused. No, you're lying. I stared at him thoughtfully. Is the president always this twisted? Shibao, when I read novels, I hate male leads who don't speak. If you misunderstood something, or have any thoughts, you can tell me, even if you can't accept my past and want a divorce. I paused, holding back my emotions and said softly, you can also tell me directly, I don't want a divorce. Shibao refuted. I took the initiative to confess. Aunt Wong accompanied me to the mountain to relax today, and I happened to run into Lin Chi. I ignored him, but when I tripped over a stone, he ran over to help me, and that was it. I tentatively asked, what did the driver tell you? He shook his head and then nodded. Someone sent me an email. It's a 2-second video. On the mountain, he held you. I was stunned for 2 seconds. So you just lost your temper because of this. A video that starts and ends abruptly, lasting a total of 2 seconds. Perhaps he sensed my emotions. Shibao raised his head. His gaze swept over me, and by the time he spoke, he had completely calmed down. He said, Wenli, you can't expect someone who has been bitten by a snake countless times to be completely free of fear, but, it's my fault, I should communicate next time. The man pressed his lips together, lowering his gaze, like a slightly arrogant puppy admitting its mistake. In fact, I have always known that Shibao is a very conflicted person. Because of this point, Shibao and I had once quarreled and broken up, 5 years ago, on that night in his rented apartment. It was actually the first night we reconciled. I sat down next to Shibao. I took the initiative to link my arm with his. I promised you that I would completely cut ties with Lin Chi. If I change my mind, I will tell you. So, if I haven't told you in person, please try to believe me. Okay. I leaned in, wanting to kiss him, but at the moment of the kiss, my gaze suddenly caught the slightly bulging lower abdomen. My heart sank. In an instant, a huge sense of shame overwhelmed me. I didn't even dare to kiss him, because I felt too dirty, unworthy. I froze for 2 seconds. I stiffly kissed his face. The night was too dark. I clutched the hem of my clothes, my heart filled with guilt and pain. I didn't notice the moment when his eyes dimmed. 14. Evening. Aunt Wang once again warmed up a cup of milk for me on time. Miss, I'm sorry. She handed me the milk and softly apologized. I almost said the wrong thing today. It's okay. I absent-mindedly smiled at her. I know. You are concerned about me. I'm fine. Aunt Wang breathed a sigh of relief, reminding me to drink the milk and go to bed early before she finally left. The door closed. I entered the bathroom holding a cup. I poured out the milk. The milky white residue stuck to the inner wall of the toilet and was washed clean by the flowing water. I took the initiative to find Lin Chi. He didn't seem surprised. In the repair shop, his colleagues were teasing because of my arrival. Lin Chi was wearing a sleeveless vest. He had a clean sweat towel draped around his neck, casually wiped his sweat, and walked over. He had specifically washed his hands and handed me a bottle of water. I saw that I didn't answer. Lin Chi smiled and took a sip with her head tilted back. Does my sister want to ask me something? I glanced at the group of people not far away who were making a fuss. Is it convenient to talk for a moment? Before I finished speaking, I was interrupted. Convenient. Milk tea shop. Lin Chi ordered a serving of shaved ice, took a bite, and seemed to be chilled, raising her eyebrows. I paused and struggled to speak. What exactly is our relationship? Lin Chi did not answer. Instead, he glanced at me. Have you lost your memory? I guess so. Lin Chi bit the spoon and answered my earlier question. Does that count as being in a relationship? Have you slept together? He laughed at my straightforwardness and swallowed a big chunk of ice. No, really. Yeah, because I don't want my sister to regret it, just like now. After having enough fun with me, you can just say it's over lightly. I can still return to my family with a clear conscience. He stared at me in a daze. Lin Chi returned to that carefree look. Are you moved? Just kidding. He stuffed a big spoonful of ice into his mouth again. Don't worry, I'm not very good in that aspect. 15. I've been having insomnia these past few nights. I keep replaying it in my mind. Lin Chi is not my type. I don't feel any romantic attraction towards him at all. I have examined myself countless times. Let's say, for the sake of argument, even if I really did lose my feelings and fell in love with Lin Chi, I would never allow myself to get pregnant with his child before getting divorced. I have always been very particular in relationships. Even if I were to develop feelings for someone else, I would definitely end the previous relationship before starting a new one. I began to doubt. There might be some hidden reasons behind this. 16. The day before the surgery, Shibo is particularly busy. When I called him at 3 in the afternoon, it was still his assistant who answered. The assistant said that Mr. She hasn't had lunch yet. I felt heartbroken listening to this, so I brought the chicken soup I had prepared and took it to the company. The employees all recognized me. They all greeted me. However, while I was waiting for Shibo outside the conference room, I vaguely heard voices discussing around the corner. The boss lady and Mr. She seemed to have a really good relationship. She even personally came to deliver chicken soup. What do you know? I heard that Mr. She doesn't even know how many hats he has worn. He really loves this. He can endure it. Really, the boss's wife looks so gentle, but plays so openly. Aren't you too naive? Women who can climb the ranks are never simple. I heard she has a younger man outside, who seems to be a mechanic, filthy as hell. She must be really hungry. Oh my god. What about the child in her belly? Who knows whose it is? We'll find out when it's born. I held the thermos, my whole body stiff, as if I had fallen into an ice cave. So that's how it is. The ugly things I did 5 years later have long been spread far and wide. Such a proud person like Shibo. Because I had been criticized by others, he must really hate me, right? Suddenly, my hand felt warm. Shibo had come out at some point and took the thermos from my hand. Have you been waiting long? I held back my sadness and shook my head. No. Shibo gave a glance to the assistant beside him. The company doesn't need employees who gossip during work hours. The assistant understood and walked towards the corner. He heard everything. It wasn't until I followed him into the office that I was still a bit dazed. I'm sorry. No need. Shibo calmly unscrewed the thermos and poured a bowl of chicken soup. I'm not that fragile. He took a sip of the chicken soup. It was because of the taste. He instinctively frowned. Wenli, you should understand me. I don't care about those rumors, I said. You can trust me. Since I chose to trust, I will move on from the past completely. He put down the bowl. He waved at me. Come here. I slowly walked over. After time traveling, because of the unknown things with Lin Chi, I always feel unable to look him in the eye. It's still like this now. Shibo sat on the leather sofa and picked me up onto his lap, a close gesture I hadn't experienced in a long time. Wenli, He suddenly asked me, why didn't you want to kiss me, that night? I paused for a moment before realizing he was referring to that night, when I wanted to kiss him but ended up not doing so out of shame. He wrapped me in his arms and carefully asked me, is it because you hate me, or because you don't like me anymore, so you're resistant to getting close? He lowered his gaze, seemingly unconsciously softening his breath. It was like a sad little dog. I spoke honestly, because I don't have the face to kiss you. He was taken aback for a moment. He looked up at me. I think I'm dirty. The words he didn't finish were cut off by his lips and teeth entwined, swallowing all sound. Wenli, he sighed softly in my ear, you understand me better than anyone else, understand this love-struck brain of mine. From now on, let's only talk about the future, let the past be the past, is that okay? A suppressed, gentle, humble tone. It feels like the one who made the mistake isn't me, it's him. 17, today is the day I have surgery. Shibao suddenly received a call and had to go to the company. He looked at his watch. You go to the hospital first, I'll finish it in half an hour, I'll definitely be there before the surgery. Okay, Shibao hurried out. I drove alone to the hospital, which was only a few minutes away. The underground parking lot was almost full. I finally found a spot in a corner and parked, opened the door and got out. Suddenly, someone suddenly covered my mouth and nose, in a moment, he felt dizzy and unsteady. Soon, his consciousness became blurred. When he woke up, he faintly heard a familiar voice by his ear. Someone was arguing, Mom, do you know what you're doing is illegal? This is kidnapping, illegal detention, you're breaking the law, and you want to drag me into it too. The middle-aged woman was frantic, slapping her thighs. Stupid son, how can something between a man and a woman be illegal? She's still confused. You two have already done what needed to be done. When she wakes up, it'll be too late, and she'll have no choice but to do as you say. When the police ask, just let her say it was her own choice. No one can say that extramarital affairs are illegal, right? The voices of the conversation gradually became clearer. I opened my eyes. I saw the two people at the door. Lin Chi lit a cigarette, looking irritated. You've controlled me for so many years, isn't that enough? Wenli doesn't love me at all. Why are you trying to force us together? Are you sick? What do you understand? The other party's tone suddenly rose. Do you know how much Shibo is worth now? With his feelings for Wenli, even if he divorces her because of her fault, he will at least give her 1/3 of his assets. By then, if you marry Wenli, you won't have to worry for this life, the next life, or the life after that. Would Mom harm you? She choked up. Isn't your mother taking the risk of being caught to do this for you? The other party wiped her tears and turned away. The face hidden in the darkness gradually became clear. It's Aunt Wang, 18. I kept my eyes closed, continuing to pretend to be asleep. A few days ago, I suspected that Aunt Wang had a problem, so I secretly started investigating and gathering evidence. I just didn't expect her to act so quickly. The conversation continued. Don't hesitate, silly son. I originally planned to let her drag things out until the divorce, then marry you with the assets. But who knew she suddenly woke up recently, not only brought up breaking up with you, but also wholeheartedly wanted to reconcile with Shibo. She cursed, with a malicious expression, that Shibo is also a wimp, wearing a green hat on his head, yet not willing to divorce her. Mom, Lin Chi interrupted her. What green hat? You clearly know that all the affection Wenli had for me was due to you constantly giving her drugs, then hypnotizing and brainwashing her when she was not in her right mind. You know better. That child is not mine, it's hers and Shibo's. I never touched her. Smack, a clear slapping sound. Aunt Wang's voice trembled. How can you still have the face to say that? I have done so much for you. What have you done? You used to listen to your mother's words most of all. Lin Chi laughed, obeying. Yes, there was a case of premarital pregnancy, where the child was abandoned in the countryside to be raised. She only took care of giving birth but not raising, and when she grew old, she became overly controlling, hypnotizing her biological son whenever she didn't obey. You secretly drugged Wenli, making her gradually lose her mind. Then used various false images of her infidelity to brainwash her. You also secretly arranged our meeting, using your clumsy hypnosis techniques. When I truly fell in love with her, you told me that Wenli had a family, a husband. All of this was under your control, and when Lee was just a pitiful pawn you manipulated, she never really had feelings for me. Have you ever asked me for my opinion, Lin? Aunt Wang suddenly burst into tears. Mom just feels guilty towards you. Wanting to give you a good life, it's just that Mom isn't capable of earning money, so I can only work as a housekeeper. But why can their child live a life of luxury, while my son can only grow up in that mountain village, working on construction sites and becoming a mechanic? That guy, Shibo, wasn't he also a mechanic? It's because he married Wenli that he managed to rise to his current status, right? I raised Wenli myself. Why did she end up with him, in my memory? Aunt Wang had never quarreled with anyone for over 20 years. Now, her voice was hoarse, crazy, and full of hatred. Mom, you've been with Wenli for so many years. How could you be so heartless to her? Why should I be heartless? Aunt Wang sneered. It's just being born into a good family. Otherwise, what else could she rely on? She's been spoiled since childhood, utterly pampered. As she spoke, she seemed to suddenly realize something and softly advised, Lin. I promise I won't control your life anymore. I'm going out now. You and Wenli stay in this room and handle the important matters, okay? Otherwise, it will really be too late. A very light lighter clicked. Lin Chi held a cigarette, speaking in a lazy tone. Your son is not good in that aspect. I can't do it. While speaking, the sound of footsteps grew closer. Someone stopped in front of me. A scattered, restrained voice, tinged with a bit of guilt, sounded above my head. Did you all hear that, sister? Don't pretend to be asleep. I opened my eyes. I saw Lin Chi glance at his watch. The police will arrive in about 5 minutes. I have already called the police. Also, the child really is yours and Shibo's. At the beginning of the year, when Shibo was on a business trip, my mom coaxed you into giving the villa's nanny 2 days off, and made a table full of extra dishes waiting for you and me to eat. I couldn't bear it. So I sent a message to Shibo from your phone, tricking him into coming back. You all had dinner and returned to the room together. Seeing me staring at him, Lin Chi gave a wry smile and said, Don't worry, I'm not that perverted. I didn't look. I just saw you all go into the room and then left. But I didn't expect my mom to come back at night. She found out that Shibo had returned and took you to the next room. Taking advantage of Shibo's unclear consciousness to stuff a woman into his room, creating a false impression of his infidelity. The next day, you had a fight with Shibo. He believed you deceived him into going back last night to deliberately stuff a woman into his room for a divorce, while you believed he had cheated. The child is from that night. He shrugged. I really didn't touch you, sister. I looked at him coldly. Then why didn't you say it earlier? He gave a bitter smile. Actually, I often lose my mind too, unable to distinguish between reality and dreams. Sometimes I wake up intending to tell you the truth, but the next second I'm controlled by her. I've been muddled through to now. And at this moment, Aunt Wang, who had been in a daze, finally came to her senses. You called the police. Are you crazy? Aunt Wang desperately tore at his clothes. Back then, your dad wanted to send me to prison. And now you want to do the same, right? Aren't you afraid you'll end up in there too? Not afraid, Lin Chi smiled, allowing her to distort his clothes, bending slightly, quietly smiling at her. Do I still look like a person, Mom? I've lived my whole life feeling abandoned and controlled. I lived half my life and finally met someone I liked, only to discover that everything was actually a farce controlled by you. I like street racing because it makes me feel free. Only by facing death time and again do I feel that I am truly alive, not controlled by anyone. I am a person. I am not a dog that you raised. You always say you gave me life, that I owe you a life. Okay, I will return it now. If we both get caught, even if I am shot, I will accept it. He smiled. Her eyes were red from crying. Are you satisfied now, Mom? Aunt Wang shook her head tremulously, crying heart-wrenchingly. Finally, she reacted in despair, pushing Lin Chi hard towards the door. You should leave. Everything was done by Mom. It has nothing to do with you. Just go. Bang. Suddenly, the iron door was kicked open forcefully. Shibo arrived a step ahead of the police, his gaze quickly fixed on me, and seeing that I was fine, he let out a slight sigh of relief. He suddenly pressed Lin Chi against the wall. A heavy punch came down. Lin Chi did not dodge. Instead, Aunt Wang let out a scream and rushed over, pulling at Shibo. Let go of my son, you. Get lost. Shibo never laid a hand on women, but at this moment, he kicked Aunt Wang in the abdomen. She was kicked nearly 2 meters away, crashing into the wooden frame, crying and unable to get up for a long time. When the police arrived, Lin Chi didn't know how many punches he had taken from Shibo. his face covered in blood. He didn't fight back, lying on the ground, like a dead dog, until the police pulled him away from his.But. As he was being taken to the police car, Lynchy looked back and glanced at me, who was carefully protected in his.But's arms. Blood blurred his face, his expression was unclear, all I could see was that his eyes were slightly curved. His gaze was very similar to that day when I told him everything ends here, as he leaned against the rolled-down car window, speaking slowly and lightly. Are you treating me like a dog, sister? 19, that child couldn't be saved. Due to the many psychiatric drugs that had been stolen by Aunt Wong before, the child's development was not normal. They had an abortion. It was very cruel. That day I cried very hard. his.But was always with me. He comforted me, saying it's okay, we will have our own baby again in the future. Even as strong as he was, he still had red eyes. That night, I dreamed of a little girl, a chubby little milk ball, rubbing against my chest and wiping my tears. She said, Mom, wait for me. I'll come back to you soon. Mom, be good, don't cry, wait for me. You all, do your best. 20. Tonight is our first real wedding night together, me and his.But. After all, the memories after marriage belong to only 5 years later. The me from 5 years ago has no knowledge of that night. There were too many misunderstandings, stubbornness, and gaps between his.But and me before. Later, I recuperated for a long time after my surgery. I was forced by his.But to take care of my health for another 2 months. It has been dragged on like this until today. After dinner, we tacitly returned to the room together. his.But sat on the edge of the bed. Come here. I obediently went over and was pressed onto his lap by his.But. His breath was hot against my earlobe. Are you going to take a shower first? No, me first. No. his.But paused for a moment and smiled. Then together, I buried my face in his shoulder. In a panic, I instinctively dialed his.But's number. Then, his.But asked back, can't hear. Didn't eat enough for dinner, my face was burning, and in the end, I simply gave up and leaned on his shoulder. Right, not enough. Can you feed me enough? It's up to you. his.But chuckled, his palm pressed against my waist, lifting me up. The position was very shameful. He had done a lot of hard labor in the past. His palms had thick calluses worn down over the years. His palms slipped under my clothes, rubbing against my waist, both painful and itchy. I couldn't help but shrink into his embrace. Just like that, we entered the bathroom. The shower was on, the sound of water flowing gently, then flowing even more gently. His thin hand pressed against the back of my head. He lowered his head and kissed me, prizing open my lips and teeth. He forcefully ravaged every inch. The air was almost completely drained. I melted in his arms. My hands had nowhere to grip. I could only cling to his neck. I breathed in the fresh air rapidly. Then I heard him sigh. That night, when you hugged the pillow and insisted on following me back to the bedroom, I really wanted it like this. Like what? He was thin-skinned but refused to respond to me anymore. He only used actions to replace his answer. Charming, passionate, and willful. To make up for all the missed time in a certain intimate way at this moment. Story 2. I was reborn just in the 5th year of my marriage. At the time when Luziching said he had lost his memory. I only remember loving your sister, Suhee, very much. He covered his head with a pained expression. My son also took my hand and said, Mom, don't blame Dad. He just wants to take care of Auntie. Auntie is such a nice person. Mom, you wouldn't have the heart to see her all alone, would you? The system popped up just like in the previous life. Host, memory loss is not a big deal. You succeeded last time. And you can do it this time too. Just the affectionate second male lead and your son again. I calmly lit a lady's cigarette, turned over the photo of the family of 3, and looked at the photo of the sickly and charming villain on my phone. System, I remember that I can change the target to pursue, right? 1. The system was stunned. You had an opportunity to change the target to pursue once before but never used it. But why do you want to change it now? Luziching just lost his memory. And you already have a son with him. If you change the target to pursue now, what about your son, Luzai? No, I don't agree. Memory loss. In the previous life, I believed Luziching's nonsense and tried every means to help him regain his memory and make him fall in love with me again. However, I witnessed his relationship with Suhee growing deeper and deeper. Sorry, maybe we really have a lot of wonderful memories, but I don't remember anything now. I only have Suhee in my heart. No matter how hard I tried, all he had for me was the apology he would give to a stranger. He even wanted to negotiate a divorce with me, and our son, Luzai. is just like a younger version of loathed. When I was in great pain because I couldn't bring back loathed's memory, and when I insisted on saving this marriage, he firmly stood on his father's side. Mom, you always tell me to be helpful to others. Why are you angry when Dad helps Auntie? You're being so selfish and annoying like this. Even my parents came to persuade me. Why are you doing this to yourself? The person Zai-Ching loves now is your sister. He can't remember you. Why are you still holding on and not getting a divorce? Anyway, Zai also likes your sister. Even if you divorce Zai-Ching, we'll still be a family. Later, they started to criticize me. Your sister is divorced. How pitiful she is. Why don't you feel sorry for her at all? Now she and Zai-Ching are in love with each other. Just because you won't get a divorce, she has to bear the reputation of being a mistress. She's your sister. How can you be so selfish? Later, due to long-term depression, I fell ill. When I went to the hospital to see a doctor, I saw loathed supporting Soo-hee. Soo-hee was sobbing in his arms. Zai-Ching, can you just tell Soo-ran that you're faking your memory loss? He was silent for a moment. After all, we've been married for 5 years. I'm afraid it will hurt her too much if I do that. But she keeps dragging on and won't get a divorce. My belly is getting big. How can I face others? How can the child face others when it's born? Soo-hee cried. It turned out that loathed had never lost his memory at all. The so-called memory loss was just an excuse for his affair with Soo-hee, and I was like a fool, thinking that he loved me and even trying to help him regain his so-called memory. That day, I went back to the empty house alone and had a high fever at night. I called loathed, Lu-zai, and my parents, but no one answered. They were all celebrating Soo-hee's birthday. One festive photo after another was posted in the group chat. I raised my hand and sent a few words in the group chat. I'm going to die. The group chat fell silent all of a sudden. At this moment, Soo-hee's call came in. Ran, did you deliberately not come to my birthday party? Do you hate me so much? Her voice was filled with sobs. If you don't want to come, then don't come. She's getting too much of an ego. My father's voice came from the receiver, saying she's going to die. Who is she trying to disgust on purpose? My mother chimed in beside him. Auntie, don't mind my mom. It's already midnight. Come and blow out the candles. Lu-zai's voice came from the receiver. There was a burst of laughter and chatter on the other end of the phone, and as the phone slowly slipped from my hand, I heard a mechanical voice. Host. The pursuit in the side story has failed, and the pursuit of the final ending has also failed, but due to achieving the marriage achievement in the middle of the story and exchanging valid points, you have a chance to be reborn with the original system. The countdown will automatically start. 5, 4, 3, 2. So, this was a side story. I finally understood. No wonder when I said I was willing to stay during the wedding, the system didn't say much. It turned out that I had never succeeded in the pursuit, and I hadn't escaped the shackles of the plot. In the side story, the female lead divorces the original male lead and finally gets together with the affectionate second male lead who still loves her even though they are married. And I was just the vicious supporting female character in the side story, a stumbling block on their path of love, and a catalyst for their love for each other, a person who no one would care about even when I died, too. Just then, loathed and Lu-zai came back. As soon as he saw me, Lu-zai quickly stood in front of his father. Mom, don't pester Dad about those past things again today. He's exhausted. Yes, of course he was exhausted. So he officially got divorced today. And he took Lu-zai to help her move. Thinking of this, I suddenly laughed. Loathed frowned slightly. Soo-ran, what are you laughing at? His gaze landed on the cigarette in my hand. After all, I never smoked before. You know what, Loathed? I crossed my legs and leisurely blew out a smoke ring. In the past, when I read novels, I liked the affectionate second male lead the most. Now that I think about it, what affectionate second male lead? He's just a simp. I pointed at him and then at Lu-zai. I just didn't expect that the son born to a simp is also a simp. This kind of thing can actually be hereditary. What simp? Lu-zai was stunned. Mom, what are you talking about? How can you call your own son a simp? Soo-ran, don't act like this just because I helped Soo-hee today. Loathed said impatiently. Why are you even jealous of your own sister? Besides, I also want to take a day off after accompanying you to search for memories every day. It's not necessary anymore, I said. What? I put out the cigarette in the water and handed him the divorce agreement from the table. I've figured it out. If the memories are gone, they're gone. It's not a big deal. I've already drawn up the divorce agreement, and I've also found my next partner recently. Let's each other and get a divorce. what did you say? Lu Ziqing was stunned. Host, calm down. You can't handle Shen Juanheng, that sickly and charming villain, he's a big bad guy. You can't change the target to pursue. Yes, I just want to find a big bad guy. I smiled at the system. Otherwise, who will help me? This vicious supporting female character. Bring down the Lu and Su families. You're saying, Lu Ziqing said in disbelief, you have a next partner. He stared at me blankly and blurted out, how is that possible? 3. Yes, in Lu Ziqing's eyes, this was of course impossible. Lu Ziqing was a simp for Su He, and in the past, I was just a simp for Lu Ziqing. I always put him first in everything. I accompanied him when he was frustrated and took care of him when he was feeling down. I even stayed up for several days and nights to change the ice pack for him to make him feel better when he had a fever. Su ran. Can you stop making a scene? Lu Ziqing threw the divorce agreement on the table with a dark face. I told you, I've lost my memory now, whether you're pretending to get a divorce, making up a next partner, trying to make me jealous or feel possessive. I don't have the slightest bit of feeling for you in my heart now. Lu Corporation was expanded by both of us after marriage. I want 30% of the equity, and I don't want the child. I walked to the door expressionlessly. As long as you sign, we'll go to the Civil Affairs Bureau immediately. He was stunned again. What does divorce mean? Is Auntie going to be my mom? Lu Zai asked blankly. I ignored the father and son and opened the door and walked out. Host, what on earth are you doing? Lu Ziqing just lost his memory. He has feelings for you. You're hurting him so much by doing this. The system chattered in my ear. System, do you think I should put on some makeup before going to Shin Corporation? Huh, where are you going? No, you must never go to the sickly and charming villain. You'll regret it so much. Beep. I used 20 points to mute the system. It was too noisy. I bought a new set of clothes and changed into them, and then went to the makeup room and had a beautiful makeup done. Madam, you look so beautiful today. Are you going to celebrate a special anniversary with Sir? The makeup artist knew me and asked sweetly. Yeah, I'm going to have an affair, I said with satisfaction as I touched the pearl earrings I designed. Hee, madam, you're really good at joking. After thinking about it, I didn't drive my own car. Instead, I took a taxi to Shin Corporation building. Excuse me, who are you looking for? Do you have an appointment? The receptionist asked when she saw me. Please tell President Shen. I smiled. Su Ran from Lu Corporation is here to give him a great gift. 4. In the office of the president of Shin Corporation. President Shen's office is really big, but it's a bit empty, I said as I sat on the sofa, looking around. Mrs. Lu, my time is quite precious. Shin Juanheng sat behind the desk with his legs crossed, his face gloomy. I know. Aren't you busy competing with Lu Corporation? I smiled. If I say I'm willing to come and join President Shen, would you be willing to have me? He was taken aback for a moment and then suddenly laughed. I've long heard that Mrs. Lu has deep feelings for Mr. Lu. I didn't expect that now. For the sake of Lu Corporation, you're even willing to use yourself as bait to come to my Shin Corporation. He stood up and walked closer, putting his hands on both sides of me, his eyes dangerous. Aren't you afraid that if you enter the den of wolves alone, you'll be eaten up without even a trace left? Our eyes met, and we were silent for a while. I burst out laughing. I'm not afraid, since President Shen knows that I'm the kind of person who would do anything for my husband. Why don't you marry me, after all? You know that someone like me with a love-struck mentality can sacrifice everything for my lover. Moreover, the design team I have is quite good. He didn't say anything, but I knew that he was a bit tempted, not tempted by me, but by the resources in my hands. In fact, Shin Juanheng and I are also old acquaintances. The Shin Corporation he manages is a rival of Lu Corporation, and he has caused a lot of trouble for Lu Ziqing in the business world. I was also a somewhat well-known designer in the original world. Lu Corporation was once on the verge of bankruptcy due to Shin Juanheng's actions, and the first pot of gold that brought it back to life was from the jewelry products I designed. Over the years, Lu Corporation and Shin Corporation have clashed several times, and both have won and lost, and Shin Juanheng is also the person Lu Ziqing hates the most. After a while, he straightened up. Mrs. Lu is indeed quite beautiful. But I have no interest in married women. What if I divorce Lu Ziqing? I stood up and took a step closer, looking up at him. He was slightly taken aback. Oh, then that's a different story. He smiled. However, Mrs. Lu, you should know that I can't tolerate traitors. He reached out and lifted my chin. In my opinion, marriage is indeed an effective contract, but if Mrs. Lu wants to marry me, She still needs to show some sincerity, 30% of the equity of Lu Corporation and my design team. I'll bring them with me when I remarry you, I smiled. Can President Shin handle it? 5. Shin Juanheng agreed to my conditions. In the following days, I simply moved out of the house and made various preparations in advance for the divorce. Lu Ziqing and Lu Zai didn't look for me. They were probably having a great time with Suhi. One day, I went back to get a design drawing that I had forgotten to take. As soon as I opened the door, I found it was very lively. Lu Zai was crying in Suhi's arms. My parents were full of anger, and Lu Ziqing also had a dark face. How dare you come back? I don't know where you've been fooling around. My mother scolded me as soon as she saw me. You don't care about your child, and you don't care about your husband either. How could I have raised a daughter like you? If it weren't for Hihi helping to take care of Zai recently, we wouldn't even know that Zai was being bullied like that in kindergarten. How can you be a mother? You're actually siding with outsiders. I frowned. Suhi immediately came up and said softly, Ran, it's not that I'm criticizing you, but when Zai was bullied by other children in kindergarten, how could you ask him to apologize first? How much of a shadow would that leave in his heart? Why can't he apologize first when he's in the wrong? He called others poor and their parents useless first. The other child was so angry that he fought back, and Zai didn't suffer any losses. In the end, he broke the other child's nose bone. I said, how can you say he didn't suffer any losses? Suhi's voice was still soft. When I picked him up these days, he was in a bad mood, but it doesn't matter. I've already given that family money, and immediately they made their child apologize to Zai. What? I was stunned. Don't you think this is too unfair to that child? He was clearly the victim. Just because his parents accepted the money, he has to apologize. He should apologize to me, Mom. You're so biased. You're a bad person. You're not my mom. I want to change my mom. Lu Zai rushed up to hit me, but was stopped by Suhi. You see, the child is really disappointed. Suhi squatted down and wiped the 2 tears that Lu Zai had forced out. I was speechless. Do you really think this kind of education is good for him? Stop talking. We all agree with Hihi's approach. My father came over and said in a deep voice, you didn't grow up by our side when you were a child. It's our fault for neglecting your upbringing, which made you grow up to be such an irresponsible wife and mother. If you can't educate the child, then let Hihi take care of him. I think Hihi is much more competent than you. I was so angry that I laughed. Can't wait any longer. Right. I turned to Lu Ziqing. What about you? Do you also agree with what they did? This matter is already over. He stood up. Don't keep dwelling on it. Go and cook quickly. Dad is busy outside every day. How can you be so shameless to be away from home all the time? We're all starving. Lu Zai shouted at the top of his lungs again. Forget it. I took a deep breath. Lu Ziqing, have you signed the divorce agreement? Agreement? What agreement? Suhi seemed not to know about this, but her eyes flickered, and she immediately ran to the table and picked up the divorce agreement. Ran, you want a divorce, and you actually want 30% of the shares of Lu Corporation. She stared at me with her watery eyes. Don't you think this is too much? How can you be so greedy? Too much, greedy. I looked at her. When Lu Ziqing married me, Lu Corporation was almost bankrupt. It was the jewelry I designed that brought Lu Corporation back to life, and it was also me who established the current design team. Why can't I deserve these 30% of the shares? But you stepped down from the company's management after giving birth to Z. The current achievements of the Lu family are all the result of Ziqing's hard work bit by bit. How can you have the nerve to say it's your credit? You're never at home, you're causing a divorce, and you're even demanding money from your husband's family. It's such a shame for our Su family to have a daughter like you. My father angrily scolded me as well. You haven't seen my efforts over the years. What right do you have to say that I'm not worthy? How can you say I haven't managed the company? As a designer, I accompanied Lu Ziqing to one drinking party after another. When he drank, I drank too. I drank no less than him. I couldn't help but roar. Enough. Lu Ziqing suddenly roared. Everyone fell silent. Su ran. 30% is indeed too much, he said calmly. I really can't agree to it. I suddenly laughed. You all are really disgusting. I turned around, found the design drafts, slammed the door, and left. I really never want to see anyone in that room again. It was raining outside, and I didn't have an umbrella. You see, I told you not to make a fuss. Now how are you going to deal with this? It will be difficult for you to get Lu Ziqing to forgive you again. The system kept chattering. Be quiet for a while. I found an empty space and squatted down. The rain flowed down my hair. I hugged my knees and felt cold all over. Although this is a world for completing missions. I have treated everyone in this world sincerely and truly regarded them as my family, even though I already knew that I had fallen in love with a scumbag. At this moment, I still felt that I wasn't treated fairly. I felt that all the years I had spent in the past were not worth it. It seems that Mrs. Liu's divorce process isn't going smoothly. An umbrella suddenly appeared above my head. I looked up and it turned out to be Shin Juanheng. He held the umbrella and looked down at me. Sorry. I couldn't get the 30% equity. I smiled self-deprecatingly. Just forget what I said before, Mr. Shen. He was silent for a moment and then suddenly squatted down. Actually, I seem to be starting to take an interest in you, Su Ran. Do you want to try a different way of playing? I don't want that 30% equity anymore. He took out a tissue and helped me wipe the rainwater from my hair. Marry me. And we'll make the Liu family go bankrupt together. 6. Host, don't be impulsive. Wait a minute. With a bang, I pushed open the door of the president's office of the Liu family. Divorce. I slapped the new divorce agreement in front of Liu Ziqing. He frowned. I don't want the equity. I'll leave the marriage with nothing. Can you sign it now? What are you going crazy about again? He pinched his forehead. I told you, I've already found my next partner. I'm in a hurry to get married, so we have to divorce immediately. He suddenly laughed and slowly took out a stack of papers from the drawer. Su Ran, your car's dash cam shows that you haven't been home these days. You just went to the apartment you lived in before marriage. Your movement track is very simple, so simple that it's as if you have nowhere else to go. He closed the papers and his gaze was firm. You don't have a next partner at all. All your fussing around is just to attract my attention by threatening to divorce me. I suddenly understood how helpless the person who invented the idiom playing the lute to a cow must have been at that time. I sat down, lit a lady's cigarette, and called Suhi. After she divorced, Liu Ziqing arranged for her to work in the Liu family. Why are you calling her? Ask her to come up and have a chat. Sure enough, Suhi arrived soon. Ran, what are you doing? Ziqing is very tired from work. Last time you made all the family members very unhappy. This is the company. You can't act recklessly. Shut up and just listen here. I interrupted her. Liu Ziqing. I turned my head, flicked the ash, and looked at him with a smile. Now that everyone is here, tell me, do you not want me to leave? What? He was stunned. You keep saying that you've forgotten me and only remember Suhi. But when I want to divorce you, you don't want to. Aren't you reluctant to let me go? You actually don't like Suhi that much, do you? Or is the amnesia fake? In fact, you remember everything about being with me, so you don't want to sign the divorce agreement, right? I looked at Suhi. What should I do? I didn't know he loved me so much. Shut up. Liu Ziqing suddenly interrupted me. Ziqing. Suhi immediately looked at him with her big, watery eyes. His face was extremely ugly. After a long while, he clenched his fists and said, Su Ran, I originally pitied you, considering that we were husband and wife and you had nowhere to go. I didn't want to sign the divorce agreement. I haven't remembered you, and I don't miss you. To me, you're just a stranger. You really want to divorce so much. Fine, I'll grant your wish. He waved his hand and, as if in a fit of pique, signed his name on the agreement. But don't regret it. 7. Afraid that Liu Ziqing would go back on his word. As soon as I got him to sign, I dragged him to the Civil Affairs Bureau. Pick up the divorce certificate in a month. Don't be late. He gave me a cold look and left. What on earth is he angry about? Wasn't it him who desperately wanted a divorce in the previous life? Looking at his back, I was extremely speechless. What previous life? The system asked in confusion. Oh, I forgot. This system doesn't have the memories of the previous life. A few days later, Shin Juanheng called me and asked me to go to a certain place. I went, and it turned out to be a bridal shop. Hello, Miss Su. Mr. Shin specifically instructed us to let you try on any style you like. When I married Liu Ziqing, because Liu Ziqing liked it and I wanted to make him happy, I wore a long train wedding dress, but actually, I myself prefer a mermaid-style dress. This time, I decided to make myself happy. I tried on dresses in the bridal shop for an afternoon, took a few photos, and sent them to Shin Juanheng. You like the mermaid-style dress? He replied quickly. It suits you very well. At this moment, the phone suddenly rang. I thought it was Shin Juanheng, so I picked it up without thinking. Zai has a fever. Come back immediately. It was Liu Ziqing's voice. I took a deep breath and forced myself to calm down. We're divorced, and Liu Zai belongs to you. You're his father. Can't you take care of him? Ran. A mother and her child are connected by heart. The child is in so much pain, how can you say such cold-blooded words? It was Suhi, so she was there. That made things easier. I can't go. I controlled my temper. Sister, don't you like Zai the most? Then let me tell you, when he's sick, he needs you to hold him all the time, sing him lullabies all night like a baby, and you also need to take his temperature every half an hour. By the way, it's very difficult for him to take his medicine. He will deliberately spit it everywhere. But it doesn't matter. Just make the medicine a few more times and give him a few more baths. I don't have any experience. Why are you telling me all this? You're his mother. Of course you should come back and take care of him. Zai, don't spit on Auntie. Suhi, I said coldly, what do you think raising a child is? Is it you looking beautiful while secretly giving him candy, indulging him, spoiling him, and listening to him sweetly say he likes you? No. Raising a child means not getting a good night's sleep for whole nights, taking care of him over and over again, repeating the same things constantly, being so busy that you don't even have time to go to the toilet, eat, or even sleep. You want to be Lu Zai's mother, don't you? Then you have to do all these things. Su ran, the child is in so much pain and keeps crying for his mother. Do you really have to argue about these trivial matters here? Lu Ziqing's voice was full of anger. I said I'm busy. What on earth are you busy with, Miss Su? For the wedding dress, you want to make the waist a bit thinner, right? The salesperson came over and asked me with a smile. There was sudden silence on the other end of the phone. What are you doing? Lu Ziqing's voice seemed to be filled with deep disbelief. I told him word by word, I'm trying on wedding dresses. 8. In the following days, Lu Ziqing didn't call me again. Shin Juanheng and I were preparing for the wedding while discussing the next design and marketing plans for Shin's jewelry. Returning to the workplace made me very excited, because new ideas kept popping up in my mind. I often talked with Shin Juanheng until midnight. A month later, Lu Ziqing and I made an appointment to pick up the divorce certificate. Do you really have a next partner? At the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau, he stared at me and asked, yeah. Don't you feel guilty towards me for betraying our marriage? He suddenly said. I couldn't help but laugh. No, after all, you don't remember anything and only remember Suhi. I shrugged. Anyway, since you've forgotten, it's meaningless for me to be the only one who remembers. It's better for both of us to find someone new. Actually, Ziqing, Suhi, wearing a small floral dress, trotted over and affectionately took Lu Ziqing's arm. Is it done? Zai and I are still waiting for you to come home for dinner. It's not done yet. Hurry up. I took the lead and walked into the Civil Affairs Bureau. You too, have you thought this through? The staff member asked. Yes, I said. Lu Ziqing didn't say anything. Sir, Su ran. He suddenly turned around. Have you really thought this through? Once we get the divorce certificate, we'll have nothing to do with each other anymore. I sighed. Lu Ziqing, can you stop being so hesitant? Suhi is still waiting for you outside. Bro, I just want to know. He still said his own words. You say you want a divorce and that's it. Is our 5-year marriage really that worthless to you? We even have a child. Am I and Zai really not worth your nostalgia? I looked at the man I had loved for many years. In the previous life, I didn't want a divorce, and he thought I was being clingy. In this life, I took the initiative to divorce, and now he thinks I'm too heartless to let go. Do they, the main characters, always get to have their way? No, the past 5 years have been very precious to me. He suddenly raised his head, and a glimmer of light seemed to flash in his eyes. After all, it took me 5 years to understand a truth. Those who grovel for love will never have a good ending. I patted him and said earnestly, let's encourage each other. As a result, Lu Ziqing's face didn't look good even after we got the divorce certificate and came out. It's finally done. It took so long. Were there a lot of people? Suhi asked, holding his arm. It's okay. At this moment, Lu Ziqing's phone rang. He answered it, and his face changed dramatically. Su ran. He suddenly grabbed me. You made the whole design team resign. Yeah. Why are you so nervous, Mr. Lu? I smiled. Didn't Mr. Lu build the Lu family through hard work? What impact can losing a design team have? We were husband and wife after all. How can you turn your back on me after achieving your goal? Ziqing, don't be angry. I also study design, don't I? It's just a design team. I'll form another one for you. Suhi soothed him unexpectedly. He shook off Suhi's hand. Su ran. Did you do this on purpose? The autumn new product launch is coming up soon. At this time, it's so noisy. It's not a big deal. I ignored him and looked towards the roadside. Over here. I waved my arms towards the distance. Shin Juinheng, over here. A Bugatti stopped in front of me. Shin Juinheng, wearing sunglasses, got out of the car. Is it done? Yeah. Lu Ziqing was shocked. Shin Juinheng, why are you here? Shin Juinheng glanced at him. To pick up my fiancé. Fiancé. He was stunned and looked at me. Her. Shin Juinheng pulled me into his arms. Mr. Lu, please call her Mrs. Shin from now on. You, Su Ran, you, how could you? Seemingly very angry, he suddenly coughed violently. He quickly supported him and helped him catch his breath. Shin Juinheng and I looked at each other and got into the Bugatti. They seem to be really angry with you. Is it because of the design team resigning? I nodded. There's one more thing. If he finds out, he'll probably vomit blood later. What is it? I sighed. Before the design team left, I asked them to water to death the money tree that he loves the most and that was placed at the door. 9. The news of my marriage to Shin Juinheng spread quickly, unexpectedly. The ones who reacted the most strongly were actually my parents from the Su family. Even if you got a divorce, why did you marry Ziqing's rival? Come back immediately and kneel on the ground to apologize to Ziqing. We don't have a daughter like you in our family. If you don't come back, we'll sever the parent-child relationship with you. So, as they wished, I went to their place with a document to sever the parent-child relationship. Behind me were the bodyguards that Shin Juinheng had assigned to me. Mr. Su, Mrs. Su, just sign here, and we'll completely sever the parent-child relationship. Anyway, they're not really my real parents. My mother covered her chest and kept shouting that it was a sin, while my father was furious and signed the paper. Do you think you can be proud just because you married that Shin Juinheng? He's just an illegitimate son of the Shin family. When you get bullied and kicked out, our Su family won't let you in. Mom is a traitor to the family. Lu Zai suddenly rushed out with a toy gun and pointed it at me. I ignored him, signaled the bodyguard to take away his toy gun and throw it aside, and then turned around and left. He cried loudly behind me. On the day of the wedding, I wore my favorite mermaid-style dress. Before going on stage, Shin Juinheng asked me what I was thinking. I said, I used to sincerely want to be nice to everyone, but now I understand that it's more enjoyable to please myself. Shin Juinheng nodded. When you meet disgusting people, don't treat them as human beings. Anyway, they don't act like humans either. I deeply agreed and felt that I had found a soulmate. The wedding was grand, magnificent, and full of joy, except that in the middle of the night, when I was so tired that I had fallen asleep, I was woken up by a phone call. Su Ran, I don't understand. What's so much better about Shin Juinheng than me? On the other end of the phone was the drunk Lu Ziqing. Why did you choose him of all people? What kind of person is he? He's much worse than me. Lu Ziqing. I hung up the phone expressionlessly, and the next time I saw Lu Ziqing was at a business reception. I was on Shin Juinheng's arm, and he was holding Suhi's hand. It was originally such a harmonious scene, but he deliberately came over to pick a fight. Actually, I've always wanted to ask Mr. Shin what methods you used to deceive Su Ran. Shin Juinheng smiled. You're joking, Mr. Lu, we're a legally married couple. I don't know if it was the word legally or couple, but it seemed to break his defenses again. He actually said regardless of the occasion. Then Mr. Shin should know how loving we were in the past 5 years and that we have a lovely son. Right, didn't Mr. Lu lose his memory? How do you remember that you were loving? Shin Juinheng smiled. If Ran wasn't really unhappy, why would she divorce you as soon as you lost your memory? He was so angry that he clenched his fists. She was very happy when she was with me. How do you know I was happy? Weren't you the one who lost your memory? I said impatiently, tilting my neck. Coincidentally, a small red mark was revealed. After all, last night, ahem. Due to someone's excellent physical strength, I didn't get much sleep. When Lu Ziqing saw it, his eyes instantly turned red. Tired. Let's go back, Shin Juinheng asked me. Yeah, Ran, you've been deceived by him. Do you know that, Mr. Lu? I turned around and said coldly, we're not that familiar. Please call me Mrs. Shin. After saying that, I turned around and left, but at this moment, despite Suhi's dissuasion, Lu Ziqing suddenly rushed up and waved his fist at Shin Juinheng. Shin Juinheng, you stole my wife. I'll kill you. The crowd was in an uproar, and in an instant, a circle formed around the two of them. Of course, his soft fist was immediately caught by Shin Juinheng. Even more, Shin Juinheng twisted his arm like twisting a twist. Amid his cries, I heard Shin Juinheng's voice with a smile. Mr. Lu, instead of yelling here like a male protagonist in a romance novel, you'd better care about the survival of the Liu family. 10. I think Shin Juanheng is really a good person, even at this moment. He didn't forget to remind his opponent. After the farce ended, Shin Juanheng and I drove home. I was drowsy. He seemed to want to say something but held back. Tonight, not tonight, I firmly refused. I meant we should discuss the plan for the autumn launch tonight. Oh, it's about work, then it's okay. I perked up immediately. Yes, although Shin Juanheng and I are a bit like in a contractual marriage, we are adults after all, and we don't act coyly by sleeping in separate beds. We haven't missed any of the things that a married couple should do every day. In short, our relationship is mainly about not having internal strife and living happily together as partners. After the cocktail party, I didn't see Liu Zicheng for a long time. 3 months later, the autumn launch was a great success, and the market share of Shin's jewelry in October exceeded that of the Liu family for the first time. In November, the Liu family suddenly launched a new heartfelt series, with the new chief designer Su He as the general designer. As soon as the heartfelt series was launched, it received rave reviews, and Su He even went on TV for an interview. She talked eloquently in front of the camera. The heartfelt series stems from my understanding of love. Its design concept is that two hearts are closely connected. When I saw this, I realized that this was the design draft I casually made for a small foreign jeweler before I married Liu Zicheng. Where on earth did she dig it out from? I called that small jeweler, and the other party was greatly shocked and immediately initiated the rights protection process. A month later, the entire heartfelt series was taken off the shelves, and the Liu family was involved in an infringement lawsuit. Shin Juanheng was very kind and lent his most capable lawyer to that jeweler for free. At this time, I received a call from my parents. Mr. and Mrs. Su, your sister has been terribly harmed by your old drafts. Why did you give her that draft? I was baffled. You come to testify in court immediately and say that you gave the draft to your sister for her to use. I hung up the phone and blocked them. After this incident, the Liu family was severely damaged. I heard that Liu Zicheng was particularly angry about Suhi's plagiarism, and the two fell into a cold war, perhaps feeling insecure. At a drinking party, when Suhi took advantage of Liu Zicheng being drunk and sent him back to his room, she tried to have a relationship with him and get pregnant. To avoid being disturbed by Liu Zai, she casually gave Liu Zicheng's phone to Liu Zai to play with. Who would have thought that Liu Zai knew the phone password? In order to play the game of pretending to be the president, he opened the company's video conference. He directly live-streamed the process of how she drugged Liu Zicheng and how she tried hard to seduce him. This video quickly spread on the internet and became a curiosity and a topic of conversation during people's meals. After waking up, Liu Zicheng had a big argument with Su He and cut off all business dealings with the Su family. 11. In the following days, Shin Juanheng and I became more and more. Sometimes, even when I looked up halfway through drawing a design, he would know that I wanted to drink water. Under the combined pressure of Shin Juanheng and me, the Liu family soon couldn't hold on. The core design team left, and the morale of other departments was also low. They lost several big orders. Another year, at the spring new product launch, as the chief designer of Shin's jewelry, I went on stage to introduce my design concept. The theme of this time is to please oneself. People always pursue the things they like, but we believe that when girls wear jewelry, it should mainly make themselves happy. So, we hope that every girl who wears Shin's jewelry loves herself first, never waste time on unworthy people or things, and always believe that you deserve better. Just like myself, I once doubted, was confused, and suffered, but after my remarriage, my husband treats me very well, and I'm very happy. I also hope that every girl can bravely move forward and seek her own happiness. The launch was a great success, and the sales volume that night reached a new high. That night, I was holding a glass of red wine and resting with my eyes closed when I was suddenly picked up by Shin Juanheng. Back, I yawned. Yeah, I opened my eyes and met his burning gaze. The launch was great. He tapped the tip of my nose. Of course, after remarriage, your husband treats you well and you're very happy. I gave him a look. What's wrong? Can't I praise you? He laughed softly. Today, I suddenly thought. He sat me on his lap. You're too dazzling. I kind of want to lock you up so that only I can see you. What should I do? The system that had been silent for a long time suddenly popped up. See, I said he's a Yandere. He wants to imprison you and possess you. You won't be happy with him. I waved my hand and deducted 20 points from it, and muted it again. I have the same intention towards you. I reached out, untied his tie, and wrapped it around his hand circle by circle. The system, why didn't I notice such a man in my previous life? He's dangerous yet charming, honest yet passionate, he's much more interesting than loathed in every way. While I was thinking, the tie in my hand was suddenly snatched away. When did he untie it? You're really disobedient. He raised his hand, covered my eyes with the tie, and his kiss gently landed on my earlobe. But I like it. 12. The performance of the Liu family plummeted, so he began to write small essays on the internet, crying that loathed had abandoned her after taking advantage of her. Loathed, on the other hand, accused Suhi of deliberately seducing him after the divorce, which had destroyed his marriage and his reputation. The two had a fierce quarrel on social media. As for my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Su, because the Su family went bankrupt, they firmly held on to loathed and caused trouble at the Liu family every day, saying that loathed had destroyed Suhi's marriage and now he was not taking responsibility for Suhi. Bothered by this, in order to avoid Suhi and my parents, loathed even jumped off the second-floor rooftop and accidentally broke his leg. That night, when I was sleeping drowsily, I received a strange call. The person on the other end of the phone seemed to be drunk and kept saying to me, "Ran." I actually remember everything. I regret it, really regret it. Shin Juanheng was woken up by the phone call. Who was that? I hung up the phone, a harassing call. A few days later, another call came in. It was my mother, Mrs. Su. Ran, your birthday is coming up soon. Mom and Dad have cooked delicious food for you. Come back and let's spend it together as a family. Oh, and you can bring Juanheng too. I replied indifferently. Auntie, do you need me to send you the parent-child relationship severance document again? Then, I hung up the phone. Shin Juanheng looked at me. You've been getting a lot of harassing calls lately. I sighed and blocked this number as well. One day, Shin Juanheng and I passed by the kindergarten where Lu Zai was. We found that he was actually being bullied by a few older children. Hey, isn't this the rich Lu Zai? Why are you picking up trash? Lu Zai burst into tears. My mom is very rich. She married a rich man. Don't look down on me. I'll ask my mom to beat you up. Do you want to intervene? Shin Juanheng asked me. I shook my head. Let's go. The jewelry business of Shin's jewelry gradually grew bigger and bigger. Suddenly one day, a colleague from the public relations department said that there was a live streaming room selling fake goods under the banner of Shin's jewelry. Just as I was wondering who was so bold, I found that the manager of the live streaming room was actually Suhi, and the hosts were my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Su. We are the parents of Su Ran, the chief designer of Shin's jewelry. They swindled people by showing my childhood photos, so we can offer an internal price to our family members. Shin Juanheng asked me how I wanted to deal with it. Just go through the legal process directly. They should pay for the damages and be sentenced if necessary. We will never reach a settlement. The live streaming room was immediately shut down, and the lawyer filed a lawsuit. Su Ran, how could you treat your parents like this? Where's your conscience? A few days later, my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Su, came to the entrance of Shin's jewelry with Suhi to cause trouble. I was too lazy to deal with them and called the police directly. Later, the three of them were detained for causing trouble, and they were also facing a lawsuit and compensation. On this day, I got a bottle of good red wine and went home earlier than Shin Juanheng. What are you doing hiding in the closet? The system asked in confusion. Just for fun, I want to give him a surprise. I gently closed the closet door. Aren't you two going too far? You weren't such a girl before, the system snorted. Say another word of nonsense, and I'll mute you. Points shouldn't be used like this, it protested. Scram. Just then, Shin Juanheng came back. I quickly stopped talking and peeked at him through the crack of the door. I saw him take off his cufflinks, tear off his tie, and stand in front of the French window with his back to me. What's wrong? Are you stunned? Do you like him that much? The system clicked its tongue beside me. I was just about to tell it to shut up when I suddenly heard Shin Juanheng seem to be speaking. I was stunned, because he said, "System, am I about to succeed soon?" 13. I stood there in a daze. I couldn't hear the reply from Shin Juanheng's system, but from his words, I knew that Shin Juanheng was also a mission completer. It's just that the judgment for his successful mission was to defeat the Liu family, the competitor of Shin's jewelry, and make it go bankrupt. System. Did you already know that he's also a mission completer, so you didn't let me complete the mission with him? The system stammered and didn't answer. No wonder. In the original setting, Shin Juanheng and I were more or less in a zero-sum game to a certain extent. if I successfully completed the mission with Lu Ziqing and lived a happy life with him, and we worked together as a couple, the Lu family probably wouldn't go under with my help. Similarly, if Shen Juanheng brought down the Lu family, with Lu Ziqing's proud character, he definitely wouldn't live a poor life with me, and my mission would most likely end in failure. And now, I suddenly opened the closet door. Ran. Shen Juanheng immediately turned around. Meeting his slightly surprised gaze, I smiled and raised the red wine in my hand. I heard it all. I wish you success in your mission. Let me explain. He seemed flustered all of a sudden. It doesn't matter. Because I am too. What? He was stunned. I smiled. Tonight, we should be able to talk for a long time. 14. Shen Juanheng said that in the original world, his mother was framed and forced to divorce. In order to give him the best education, she took on many jobs and finally died of overwork at an early age. After he grew up, he returned to the Shen family, fought for power with his half-brothers, and finally defeated everyone, becoming the head of the Shen family and sending his stepmother, who had framed his mother back then, to prison. But he was also too tired and eventually fell into a coma in bed. Probably sensing my strong unwillingness, the system came to ask me if I was willing to come to this world as a mission completer. He turned his head and was stunned. Ran, why are you crying? I shook my head. It's nothing. I just thought of my mom in my original world. Coincidentally, I'm also from a single-parent family. When I was a child, my mom also sacrificed a lot for me. Later, she met a suitor. I didn't want her to give up her happiness because of me, so I left her on my own initiative. I haven't contacted her for a long time. She should be living a happy life now, right? I wiped away my tears. Shen Juanheng put down his wine glass and hugged me. With you as her daughter, she should be very happy. At this moment, Shen Juanheng's phone suddenly received a message. The Lu family officially declared bankruptcy. Shen Juanheng had successfully completed his mission. 15. Shen Juanheng asked me what my mission target was. I didn't tell him the truth. I've actually already completed my mission. I just think it's nice here and I don't plan to go back. I said this. The system was very confused. So what if I tell him? I smiled. I haven't completed my mission yet, which means that in his heart, I'm not the most important. It's not something that can be achieved just because I tell him and he sympathizes with me. If you tell him, maybe it can increase the probability. I shook my head. System, I don't want to beg for love from anyone anymore. A few days later, Shen Juanheng's system urged him to claim his reward and return to the original world. He came to discuss it with me. I agree. I nodded. You've been here for so long. If you don't go back, be careful that the country you fought for with your life will change hands. I'm a bit worried about you. He looked at me and said, what's there to worry about? I shrugged. You've left me such a big company. I won't be able to spend all the money in my lifetime here. I'm more than happy. Is this really what you want? I nodded. Yes, I'm very sure. So, he transferred the company to me and bought a plane ticket abroad. On the day he left, it was drizzling. I didn't go to see him off. Once he leaves, you'll officially fail your mission. The system said in my ear, yeah, see, I told you not to choose him. There's no good ending, but you just didn't listen. I smiled. System, you know what? This period of time is the most enjoyable time I've had in this world. I don't have to be a doormat for others, nor do I need others to like me. I can be myself if I want, never wrong myself, take revenge if I want, and enjoy myself if I want. I think it's quite worth it. The system sighed. Actually, I secretly checked the data. For Shen Juanheng, you were just a little short. How about I apply for you and see if you can stay in this world, but you'll definitely need to change your identity, and you won't be able to keep your wealth and such. Okay, thank you. I tilted my head back. The rain was getting heavier. I didn't bring an umbrella again. Forget it. It's not bad to get drenched. Anyway, there isn't much time left. Just like this. I sat on the bench in the park, tilted my head back, closed my eyes, and let the rain flow down my hair. Suddenly, an umbrella blocked above my head. I opened my eyes. The man who should have been on the plane was standing in front of me, holding an umbrella. I stared at him blankly. Why are you? I noticed it was raining before boarding the plane. He squatted down while holding the umbrella. I was afraid you'd go out without an umbrella, so I came back. See, I was right. I just like getting caught in the rain. I stubbornly said. Won't you miss your flight? Unexpectedly, his eyes darkened. Ran. When I said before that I only want you to be mine, I wasn't joking. He sat down beside me and let out a sigh. Today, looking at this rain, just thinking that in such weather, There might be someone else holding an umbrella for you makes me want to kill that person, so, he stroked my head, I'd better stay and keep an eye on you. I was stunned. What are you talking about? In the original world, you fought so hard to get those things, your career, you're giving them all up. Yeah, he nodded, I'm giving them up. Thinking about those things now, they don't seem that important, compared to those. I'm happier to see you, you must be crazy. I've always been a crazy person. His hand gently caressed my cheek. So, would you like to stay with this crazy person, Pop? The street lamp suddenly went out. In the darkness, a cold kiss landed on my lips. I was tightly embraced. At this moment, a strange voice suddenly came from above my head. Congratulations, host, you have successfully completed the mission of winning over the villainous Yandere. 16. Both Shin Juanheng and I could go home. We handed over Shin's company to his younger brother who had just returned to this world, and we boarded the plane going abroad together. On the last day in this world, we embraced each other in the snow and watched the magnificent aurora in the distance, as a shooting star fell. A familiar voice came from the aurora. I am the main system god. Congratulations to the 2 mission completers. Next, I will activate the time-space tunnel and send the 2 of you back to your original world, and you will get healthy bodies. And Su ran. Because you chose a mission completer as your mission target, the difficulty was doubled. After your success, you can get additional generous point rewards. What would you like to exchange for, Lord System God? I looked up at the sky. I've always had a question. Go ahead. On the day I was reborn, I heard your voice say that I was able to be reborn because I achieved the marriage achievement halfway and exchanged effective points. But at that time, I should have had no points. I want to know, where did the points that allowed me to be reborn come from? The main system god seemed to be silent for a while. It was your mother in the original world. After a long while, it said, actually, not long after you fell into a coma, your mother had been staying with you in the hospital. When you were about to be eliminated in this world, your original body also suffered from acute failure. Your mother dreamed about your failed mission and knelt on the ground, praying to exchange 10 years of her own life for a chance for you to try again. My tears almost gushed out all at once. It was Mom. It was actually Mom. It was Mom who had always loved me and never given up on me. Then can I exchange all these points for my mom's lifespan? I said with a choke in my voice. Of course you can. It can add a total of 20 years to her lifespan. Shin Juanheng beside me hugged me tightly as I kept crying. Ran, let's go home and see Mom. That night, with the dazzling aurora, Shin Juanheng and I held hands and went home together. 16. Doctor, come quickly. My daughter moved. She moved. When I opened my eyes again, I was lying on a hospital bed. By my side was my mother who had been watching over me. Ran, it's Mom. Mom has always been here. Mom, I raised my hand, held her rough palm, and smiled slightly. I'm back. She nodded desperately, and tears kept streaming down her face. Next came a series of examinations. It's a miracle. It's really a miracle. There's not a single problem with the body anymore. The doctor clicked his tongue in amazement. The little nurse beside him chuckled and said, I told you our hospital has good feng shui. That Mr. Shin in the VIP room also woke up just now. The richest man in our city. Exactly. They said before that there was no hope for him and he had been kept alive by a ventilator. But he suddenly got better. He seems a bit confused just after waking up. I heard he asked the Shin family to immediately search the whole city for someone named Su Ran or Su Ran. The name seems misspelled here in Chinese, but keeping it as in the text. I don't know if that person is an enemy or something. Who did you say he was looking for? I said blankly, Miss Su, your name also sounds similar. The little nurse leaned in and said with a smile, that Mr. Shin is said to be quite scary. Don't get wrongly caught by him. Where is the VIP room? I asked anxiously, grabbing the nurse's arm. It's on the 16th floor. I jumped out of bed at once. Hey, Miss Su, your shoes. I took the elevator and rushed to the 16th floor. Sorry. Maybe we really had a lot of wonderful memories, but I don't remember anything now. I only have Suhi in my heart. There were quite a few people in the room, but none of them was Shin Juanheng. The hospital bed not far away was empty. Miss, who are you? Someone stepped forward and asked. I might have made a mistake. She is Su Ran. A familiar voice suddenly came from behind me. I turned around sharply. He was standing behind me, wearing a hospital gown. He was a bit thinner than before, but still as handsome. Our eyes met, and we both smiled at each other. He came closer and hugged me tightly in his arms. Ran, he whispered in my ear. for the wedding dress here. Do you still want the mermaid style one? Story 2, my brother is a disturbed man. He suffers from mania, and in an attempt to prevent me from marrying my fiancé, he broke his own leg. Later, I was murdered in a conspiracy by my fiancé and my best friend. At my funeral, this couple was intimate, scheming on how to spend my inheritance. My brother, who was left with a limp, chased them across half the globe in madness, covered in blood. He brought their severed heads before my corpse, then, holding me, he stroked my head and murmured by my side, "Little darling. Your brother has always been here for you." In another life, when my fiancé hugged me, urging me to slip sleeping pills into the water my brother was drinking, I pushed away that man with the disgusting smile. What could possibly be wrong with my brother? He just loves me too much. Luyu, when the time comes, just drop this thing in your brother's drinking glass. Your brother surely won't suspect you. This drug could knock out an elephant. Once your brother is asleep, I'll take you away tonight. Okay. The person across from me gently squeezed my wrist, but my thoughts were not on him. My gaze was fixed behind him, the shadows of the locust tree swaying. My brother, in a white shirt, at our house's door, holding a kitchen knife, his eyes dark and ominous, looking at us. When I realized I had truly been reborn, my brother had already dragged me inside the house. Holding a kitchen knife in his left hand, he fumbled by the door with his right. Probably not finding the rope, he tore off his own tie and tied my wrists. Don't see Yuze, my fiancé, the man who just had me drug my brother. I let my brother handle the knots on my wrists. He truly cared, crying for me, even patting the knots with cotton to avoid hurting me. Brother, I caught his fingers. He paused. Previously in my life, I found even touching him repulsive. This gesture made him hesitate for a second or two, then, he covered my mouth with his hand. Shut up. If you dare plead for Yuze again, I'll kill him. It was like this in my previous life. My brother and I had slowly become estranged. I was madly in love with Yuze, not knowing that when Yuze approached me, he was already involved with my best friend, both conspiring to kill me for insurance fraud. I truly believed Yuze was my soulmate, desperately clinging to him, and my brother tried desperately to stop me, telling me Yuze was not a good person. In a moment of anger, I said many cruel things to him. Lu Ming, you're a freak, imprisoning your own sister. Do you know why the neighbors avoid you? Because you're a monster. I hate you too. Why do you have to be my brother? I don't want you as my brother anymore. I don't want you as my brother anymore. I just remember how pale my brother's eyes were that day. He looked like our mother, beautiful to the bone, yet always emanating a fragile, shattered feeling. He just calmly tied me up, then said to me, "Dinner is fish head stewed with tofu, my favorite dish." When I snapped out of my memories, I was already tied to a chair. My brother was cooking in the kitchen. Indeed, my brother is a mentally unstable control freak. But what is his fault? He just doesn't know how to love me properly. I was distracted for a moment, and my brother came out of the kitchen, looking down at me. "What's wrong, brother?" I looked up and smiled at him. "Why aren't you causing a fuss?" His voice carried a slight hoarseness. In fact, my brother's voice was never hoarse before. It was only after he shouted himself hoarse while working hard to support me. "You don't need to tie me up, brother," I said softly to him. "I won't run away again. I will stay by your side and heal the sickness in your heart." But my brother just looked down at me, his gaze cold. Soft approach now. Since the hard way didn't work, my brother still thought I wanted to run away. But what he didn't know was that he couldn't resist when I softened my approach toward him. The man who turned to leave had a resolute silhouette. I cleared my throat slightly, adding a bit of tone. "Brother, it hurts." 3 seconds later, I was sitting perfectly fine in front of the chair. My brother squatted in front of me, frantic as if I had lost a limb. "Where does it hurt? Should we go to the hospital?" It wasn't on purpose, brother. He wanted to touch me but hesitated because I had once yelled at him loudly, telling him not to touch me. So, during times when I was angry, he never dared to go against me. My fingertips brushed through his soft black hair. He froze, looking at me with a shocked expression as if he hadn't seen it in 800 years. I lowered my head, delicately tracing the corners of his eyes. "Brother, in this life, it's my turn to protect you. I'm serious, now that I've been reborn. Yuze and my so-called best friend, these two scoundrels, won't have a good life. Why should they dirty my brother's hands after my death? Luyu, didn't I ask you to drug your brother yesterday?" Yuze, with his hands in his pockets next to the small store, frowned at me. In my previous life, my obsession with Yuze was like being cursed, so, he always ordered me around arrogantly, if you don't put your brother to sleep tonight, don't expect me to help you escape, in my last life. I drugged my brother because of what he said, but I don't know if my brother has a high tolerance for drugs. He woke up halfway, struggling to chase after me. He tumbled down the stairs, breaking a leg. I still remember that day. His eyes were so red. As he lay on the ground, he still tried to keep me. He shouted at me, "Don't come back, they are bad people." His voice was completely hoarse, painfully telling me, "Trust your brother. Your brother would never lie to you until his death." Until his death, he would never lie to me, but at that time, I only thought he was a control freak who wanted to keep me locked in his room forever. Yusei probably thought that threatening me with not eloping would make me anxious, but I didn't even raise an eyebrow, asking him, "This drug, it won't kill my brother, will it? And my good best friend Duanyu just then coincidentally sat next to me with an ice pop. Luyu, it's simple, just watch the dosage, and let your brother sleep. After all, he's a scum, and he deserves to die. He deserves to die." Would someone who deserves to die chase after the two culprits to the ends of the earth after my death? Would someone who deserves to die drag a disabled leg to avenge a sister who never listened to him and was always wary of him? Do I not know whether my brother is a bad person? I looked up, almost wishing I could tear these two people in front of me into pieces right now, but now is not the time. I stared at the bag of sleeping powder in my hand. I already had a plan. 5. Did you go see Yusei again? As soon as I entered, I was pulled into an embrace. His high nose bridge fluttered against my neck, his breath shallow. My brother smelled of locust flowers. Under the daylight lamp, Lu Ming's face was very pale, his features striking. Like ink forcibly splashed on a white paper inkstone, they would crumble at a touch. "Brother, I was just..." "Shut up," he interrupted me roughly, his knuckles brushing past my shoulder blade, a foreign touch that sent shivers down my spine. But this time, I didn't dodge. Suddenly, I felt that my brother was like a dog, unsure whether the broken doll he picked up still belonged to him. I smiled, my fingers brushing through his messy bangs. Then, I suddenly stopped, very hot, exceptionally hot. My brother had a fever. Only then did I notice that his face was paler than usual, clearly in discomfort, yet he still stubbornly looked at me. "Brother, why don't you go to the hospital?" I took his body, trembling slightly. His voice was cold and hoarse. "You promised me you'd be back by 6. I had to wait for you." The clock had already struck 9 in the evening. I was shocked to realize that in dealing with my own matters, I had forgotten the time I had promised him, but my brother, like a fool, insisted on waiting for me even if it fried his brain. My brother lay on the sofa. He looked at me with a shock that seemed centuries old, because I was going to cook dinner for my brother. This was the first time in my life I was cooking dinner for my brother. 6. I'm very good at cooking. In my past life, to please Yusei, I kept changing up the meals I brought him, but towards my brother, I often snorted in disdain, so it was many years later that I learned my brother, this freak, had kept a piece of bread I had eaten half of for a long time. The fire for the dried shrimp and scallop porridge was just right. I blew on it and scooped a spoonful to my brother's thin lips. My brother stared at me, suspicion in his eyes that I had drugged him. "Are you going to eat?" I asked calmly. He bit the spoon, his eyelids drooping, somewhat obedient. It's hard to imagine how his thin arms, with veins so visibly marked, had once decapitated both Yusei and my best friend. "Brother, have you thought about our future?" As my brother ate the porridge, I spoke softly to him. "I'm about to graduate, and your job isn't stable. We could sell our current house and move to live by the sea. I want to open a flower shop." Once upon a time, my plans for the future certainly did not include my brother. The phrase I said to him the most was to tell him to get lost, even though it was he who raised me, he who gave up everything for me. "Brother, do you not like flowers?" I leaned closer to him. "But you always smell of locust flowers." Before I could finish, he had already raised his hand, pinching my chin. The rough fingers of a man brushed past my lips. My brother's gaze at me always starkly carved with the word possessive. "What are you trying to say? At the seaside, is the flower shop convenient for your escape? Don't lie to me." "Okay, Luyu," he called my name, like a murmur in a dream. "You know full well that the first thing you would do in a new place, is to ditch me." He was telling the truth. In my past life, I would have indeed done just that. My brother was like an animal bitten by a snake, forever fearful of ropes and wells, thinking I was the venomous snake tempting him to swallow the bitter fruit. There had been too many times when I had left him with nothing. In the empty room, we silently faced each other. "You need to prove it." My brother stared at me. How can I prove it? I asked him, just as the light flickered and then went out. The room plunged into complete darkness, and soon I understood how my brother wanted me to prove it. I bumped into a fiery chest and felt his hands support my lower back, burning hot. I heard him grunt, and then he grasped my chin. His lips were the first to touch mine, so hot, he was hot everywhere. His fingers brushed the back of my neck as he kissed me, but his heat nearly numbed the root of my tongue. My brother was spoiling his own sister. His lips moved along my damp brows and eyes downward, landing at the base of my ear, stirring the senses with a heat that was not of a normal human. My brother could hardly have imagined that when he sealed my lips, I would clutch his collar and kiss him back. This threw my brother's breathing into disarray, and he straightened my chin. He pressed his forehead against mine, a soft rub. I chased his whispers in the darkness. Only then did I truly understand who was in distress. That's how you prove it. Don't leave your brother. I washed the last dish clean in the kitchen. My brother was in the living room. In fact, I was just avoiding him, having acted too hastily. My brother and I did something we had never done in our past lives. I knew my brother's feelings for me went beyond mere family affection. We weren't blood related, but he had always looked at me with extreme restraint, desiring me, yet not daring to act. I didn't know how to face him, even though I had lived 2 lifetimes. Just as I was pondering this, my brother pushed open the door and walked in as if nothing had happened. Want a sip? He backed me against the sink, holding a cup of hot milk. He brought it to my lips. I did have a habit of drinking milk before bed, but it seemed like it was from my brother's cup, following the imprint of his lips. I took a sip. Good girl. He ruffled my hair. Brother, I called him. Your kissing technique needs more practice. What? He chuckled. I'm saying. I turned around, and then he unexpectedly kissed the corner of my lips. I grabbed his tie. Brother, do you believe me now? I won't run away. Look, I'm even. But then, the man, bent over, continued to just look at me. I've opened up everything to you. Suddenly, my head began to feel heavy. I looked up at him, my mind unclear. No, my head was spinning. Was there something in the milk? My brother cupped my cheeks with his hands. His calloused fingertips brushed against my eyelids. I couldn't move. There was something wrong with the milk. I heard my brother's voice as if it were coming from far away. This time, you did really well. Shall you? You shouldn't have kept the drugs in such an accessible place in your bag. They just fell out. You almost killed your brother. Oh no. It looked like my brother misunderstood. I had the sedatives in my bag to test their origin. I needed to find evidence of Yuze's crimes, but it seemed my brother thought I intended to drug him. Everything I had done seemed to him like a huge, staged act of self-sacrifice. I wanted to explain, but I couldn't speak. My eyelids were getting heavier. What a mess, I thought, trying to raise my hand, but Lu Ming brushed off my sleeve. Do you hate your brother that much? Fooled me once, thinking of fooling me again. My brain was foggy. I felt something tight around my neck, making it hard to breathe. I couldn't move at all. My brother had tied me up. Brother, I looked at him helplessly. You have to give me a chance to explain. Lu Ming looked down at me, his expression unreadable. My brother, tall and thin, seemed as fragile as glass to the world, yet he was strong, whether dealing with a couple in his past life or dealing with the disobedient me in this life. His almost cold white knuckles caressed my earlobe. Brother, I called him. Shut up. Another harsh reprimand, somewhat hoarse. My brother leaned in and kissed me. His eyelashes were long, tickling my eyelids. I couldn't move, but even this gentle provocation from my brother was too much for me. Because I liked him, I was forced to respond to him. But when my nostrils were filled with his scent, the last bit of my sanity pulled me back from the abyss, making me sober. I was not here to practice kissing techniques with my brother. Brother, cough, cough. I started coughing. He slightly frowned and loosened his grip, gently rubbing my back. Choked. Who really needs to practice kissing? His words were harsh, clearly still angry. He thought I had deceived him, but I hadn't. So I got angry too. It's you who doesn't trust me. The drugs were given to me by Yuze. He wanted me to knock you out. I took the drugs just to send them to the testing agency. It's you who doesn't trust me. I held my head high and met his gaze. When my brother leaned in to kiss me again, I knew that my explanations were in one ear and out the other for him. I pushed him away. He raised his eyebrow and uttered, "Oh." His words were light, whispering in my ear. He said, "Yes, the medicine was taken for testing. It wasn't to poison my brother." Lu Yu, are you going to say next that everything you've done was for me? But did you ever love your brother, even just a little? His expression was calm, but his eyes betrayed a frantic desperation. I opened my mouth to say something but found myself at a loss for words. After all, in the past, in my attempts to escape from Lu Ming, I had done shameful things like adding sleeping pills to his breakfast, stuffing his pencil case with lime, and falsely accusing him of theft to get him arrested. It could be said that much of my brother's bad reputation in the neighborhood was my doing, all to clean up my own messes. He couldn't immediately change his view of me, so I decided to bide my time. Then, I suddenly kissed Lu Ming. My brother's lips were soft and inviting. He froze, his eyes widening as if a colorful scroll had suddenly unfurled within them. Then, my brother snapped. My head hit the mattress, but his palm cushioned the blow. The bed sank a little due to our movements, and I reciprocated, interlocking my fingers with his. He kissed my neck and said, "You're going to torture your brother to death." I think, in my past life, I owed Lu Ming a lot. In this life, I'm not sure I can cure him, but I can indeed promise to torment each other until death. 9. My brother's cooking is delicious. It would taste even better if my hands weren't trapped and he was feeding me bite by bite. Brother, I elongated the tone, calling him. The silver spoon hesitated at my lips. "Lu Yu, the last time you acted so coy, you almost landed me in jail." He stated this indifferently as a fact, yet, under the table, my leg brushed against my brother's shin. He paused, a blush crept up his cheeks, so innocent looking. I would have believed it if he hadn't just pinned me down on the bed like a starving wolf. "Brother, do you believe in fate?" "Actually, I had a dream last night where I saw the future. In the dream, I married Yuze. And you broke your leg. Later, Yuze and Duan Yu conspired to kill me. Dragging your broken leg, you chased them halfway across the globe, so, I'm quite resentful towards Yuze right now." I stared into his eyes, sincerely sharing these thoughts, but his face remained expressionless, his beautiful eyes like a serene sky, unreadable. "Oh, really?" He leaned closer, his breath grazing my neck. "What a coincidence. I also had a dream last night. In the dream, my little sister was desperate to escape from her brother, so she crafted a beautiful lie. She deceived her brother into living a dream, then ditched him. I almost thought he was reborn too, because in my previous life, I had cajoled Lu Ming before drugging him. I still remember him holding on to my wrist that day, his eyes red, tightly embracing me, saying, "Lu Yu, you won't leave me, right? You're not going to leave me, are you?" So that night, I drugged him. And he ended up breaking his leg. If these are the things my brother dreams about, it's only natural for him, being as neurotic as he is, to want to keep me close. I laughed softly towards him, and he frowned at me. "Forget it then, big brother. No matter how you treat me, I am willing. I promise this is the last time I'll deceive Lu Ming." During my shower, I turned the water temperature to the lowest setting, and when I dried my hair, I used the cold air setting and blew it fiercely against my head. I've always had a frail constitution since I was young. When I felt a chill hitting my forehead and something odd in my sinuses, I sniffled, knowing I was about to catch a cold. Whether I would get a fever was a matter of luck. I wiped my hair and walked out of the bathroom. My brother was sitting on the sofa, his dark eyes intently staring at me. I walked over and, with a little exclamation, collapsed into his arms. Despite my sudden move, my brother still reached out and embraced me. I suddenly felt like a fox spirit seducing a scholar, yet my brother's gaze was so resolute it was as if he was about to renounce the secular world. His voice was cool and detached. "Go to sleep." I pinched his thigh. This didn't feel like my brother. He grabbed my fingers, and I stared at the movement in his throat. "Why are you ignoring me? Stop fidgeting. Go to sleep." His voice carried a warning tone when he spoke again. "Brother, I'm so good to you. Don't you like it?" I sat on his lap and reached out to touch his throat. His pupils shook visibly, and he grunted. He was holding back again. "My brother, then I won't be so nice to you next time, okay? It's you who don't want me, Lu Ming. Look, it's you who made your sister." A familiar force came from the back of my neck. My lips were suddenly sealed, swallowing the words I wanted to say. This man didn't want his sister to speak again. The jerk. Sometimes I really pity my brother, even though I'm the one who's locked up. It's him who's truly trapped. I wrapped my arms around his neck. "Are you scared, brother?" He silently nodded in my arms. "You've been too abnormal lately, Lu." His voice was hoarse. "I'm afraid it's a trap, but you know what? Even if you dig a hole in front of me, and say with a smile, 'Brother, jump down,' my brother would jump down without a second thought." In the middle of the night, I felt so miserable I couldn't sleep. I went to knock on my brother's door. "Brother, I think I have a fever." My vision blurred, I looked up at him, and in that moment, a lot of things flashed through my mind. I thought my brother was quite handsome, he'd probably be quite popular with the girls at school, but unfortunately, for my sake, he scooped me up in his arms immediately, to the hospital, without any hesitation. His coat was already covering me, he touched my forehead with his hand, I could feel him shiver, it must have been very hot. My brother always panics because of me, my brother is too perfect, so God gave him a weakness, which is me. My brother's life, because of me, is utterly shattered. 12. In the taxi, I leaned against my brother's shoulder, feeling genuinely cold, so I clung tightly to his coat, holding his hand. I played with the veins that stood out on the back of it. "Are you still feeling uncomfortable?" "We're almost there." He was worried about whether the fever had affected my brain. I really wanted to tell him I was okay and that actually, I had done it on purpose, but I couldn't bear to see his expression when he learned the truth. In a panic, my brother rushed me to the emergency room and settled me in a chair in the fore area. He straightened my collar, crouched in front of me, and called me his good little one. "I'll go pay the fee and be right back. Be good, you'll feel better after the 4. I buried half of my face in his coat, watching him with just my eyes as I nodded. He patted my head, pulled up my collar, and kissed the corner of my mouth. I watched as he hurried away. My brother really wanted to get back to me as soon as possible, but I left his coat on the chair, turned around, and slipped into the vast night outside the hospital. 13. I really wanted to be by my brother's side for a lifetime. Maybe one day, he would understand that I truly loved him, but unfortunately, I didn't have much time left. I couldn't afford to lose the patience of Yuzhe and Duanyu. It had been tough, but I managed to obtain some evidence of their crimes. It was 4 in the morning, just before dawn, when I called Yuzhe, but he didn't answer. Understandable, as who wouldn't be asleep at this hour? Meanwhile, I couldn't help thinking about how frantic my brother would be upon discovering I was gone. When I was very young, he once lost me in a mall. I cried amid the crowd until he pushed through and held me trembling in his arms. Since then, he always managed to find me, until in a previous life, he broke his leg, and his sister left him without looking back. The ringing of the phone interrupted my thoughts. It was Yuzhe, I answered. "Did you run away?" He was silent for a moment before he asked. "Yeah, my brother is a bit tricky to deal with. The drugs were taken by my brother. Can you get another batch for me?" "Don't worry, he's let his guard down around me now. This time it will definitely work." To dispel Yuzhe's suspicions, I had to pretend to despise my brother deeply, and Yuzhe was acting strangely today, as if he used a voice changer. This was not a good sign. It meant Yuzhe was starting to doubt me. Like dominoes, I feared that any change from me might completely alter the timeline. "How can I trust you, Yuzhe? After all this time, how can you still question my trust?" Apparently, Yuzhe must have sensed something. I had to keep upping the stakes, taking a deep breath before finally saying, "Don't you know I like you?" There was a long silence on his end before he finally asked, "What about your brother?" "I need to make sure your brother hasn't turned you against us." "My brother?" I can barely stand to look at him. He's just a pesky dog around my feet. I'd set off fireworks the day he dies. Yeah, right. Not at all. What I said was definitely sarcastic. I closed my eyes and silently added in my mind, "It seems they finally trusted me and gave me an address, 876, Nan Street. Be careful. Yuzhe and my best friend Duanyu must be involved in some illegal activities. I even suspect that they had conspired to deceive others before they knew me, so this time." I secretly turned on the recording function on my phone. I glanced down at the phone screen. 45 missed calls, all from my brother. The meeting point is an abandoned warehouse. Yuzhe is always cautious, making it seem like we're engaging in illegal activities even though he was just eloping with me. I can't believe I didn't realize something was wrong in my past life. It's almost dawn, and the light is seeping through the windows. My mind still feels muddled. I thought about quickly gathering some evidence to call the police and get Yuzhe and his accomplices arrested. My brother. My thoughts were suddenly jumbled, intensely swirling in my mind. I couldn't help but remember his name, realizing that even a moment's betrayal could suffocate me like this. I don't want to lie to my brother anymore. I really regret it. As I walked to the end of the factory, I stopped in shock. The sun was rising. A person was tied to a chair, stammering. It was Yuzhe. And behind him, my brother had his hands in his pockets, playing with a phone card. At that moment, I suddenly realized, my brother had tied up Yuzhe. He had learned to solve problems from the root. No wonder he used a voice changer. It wasn't Jose who answered the phone, it was my brother. What did I say to my brother on the phone? I said, my brother. I can't even bother to look at him, just a dog that bothers me. The day he dies, I'd set off fireworks to celebrate. I'm doomed. The sunrise created a clear divide between him and me. I stood there, feeling my throat dry. Brother. He tilted his head, his beautiful eyes reflected my image, devoid of emotion. Are you preparing to plead for him? He kicked the person sitting in the chair in front of him. Jose was clearly terrified, desperately looking at me for help, so cowardly. Brother, let's get this straight, I'm not siding with him. But we don't commit crimes, so you're pleading for him, he interrupted me. This side of my brother felt so unfamiliar. I had never thought my brother would look at me with such eyes. Flat, indifferent, silent. What should I say? I explain. My brother wouldn't believe it, and then everything would just spiral out of control, eventually breaking the bond between us. I thought my brother would be angry, that he would scold me, that he would tie me up and take me home to settle accounts, but he didn't. His calmness made me panic, like slowly sinking into a lifeless swamp. After a long while, I heard him sigh. Xiao you know, I like you. I'm afraid of many things, each one about you. I'm afraid you'll get hurt. I'm afraid you'll pick up bad habits. I'm afraid you'll leave. Over the past few days, I've been wondering just how much you must hate me, to the point where you despise me so much, you'd sacrifice yourself. Later, I realized that even if I forcefully held on to you, you would still leave. So, little you. I won't stop you anymore. My brother pushed the man away. I couldn't catch up to my brother's figure in the sunrise, only his words lingered. Take good care of yourself with him. Remember to visit the hospital. I won't see you off. I was stunned there. It took me a long while to come to my senses. My brother doesn't want me anymore. 16. In the empty factory, Jose was so moved he was nearly crying. Woo, little you. I knew you cared about me. Your brother is a freak. Quick, call the police, arrest him. I kicked over the chair he was tied to. He pretended we were both involved. Jose didn't dare to call the police because he was involved in illegal activities himself. The man moaned behind me. He asked me to untie him, but I ignored him. After a brief internal struggle for a few seconds, I chased out of the factory. I decided to follow my brother. Ever since we were kids, it was always my brother who soothed me, so he can't just not want me anymore. I didn't know where my brother had gone. Decided to first go home to look for him. Now it's my turn to find his phone unreachable. How the tables have turned. Sitting in the car, I composed a long text message to him, then deleted it one character at a time. Suddenly, I felt like I was infected by my brother. I was going crazy. My mind full of him when I couldn't see him. I finally found my brother, not at home, but at the convenience store by our house. I stood at the entrance, took 2 steps forward, but froze under the streetlight. The convenience store was quiet in the early morning. My brother was wearing a black jacket. He had deep-set eyes and his skin was nearly cold white. He handed something to the cashier with his eyes downcast. The cashier was a very young girl, shyly stealing glances at him. My brother just smiled at her with a twinkle in his eye. I exploded at the entrance. Somewhere in my heart felt like it was being wrung out harshly. 17. My brother came out of the store. He looked at me somewhat surprised. A thin morning light fell on his face, and I stood in his inevitable path, so he tilted his head slightly. Excuse me. The way my brother looked at me was like he was looking at a stranger. I couldn't hold it in anymore. Brother, my voice broke at the end. I watched as my brother's pupils gradually dilated. He pulled me into his arms. His fingertips brushed across my cheek. Why are you crying? Don't cry. I was wrong. It's my fault. Don't cry. Okay. He dropped everything he was holding, just to wipe my tears. I sobbed as I looked at him. I've been without parents since I was little, and now you don't want me either. Lu Ming, how could you be so cruel? He said. All right. It's all my fault. You really are my ancestor. Stop crying. Okay, but I was crying so hard that I could barely catch my breath. It wasn't until my nose felt blocked that I realized I was coming down with a cold. Then it felt like all the viruses in my body launched a collective assault on me. My head spun violently. Only then did I remember I had been tossing and turning all night without even drinking half a bottle of water. My consciousness began to fade as I clung to his sleeve. In the last moment, I could still hear my brother frantically calling my name. I felt my eyes were covered. A black cloth blocked my sight, amplifying all my other senses. Someone lifted my bangs and touched my head. The slightly calloused knuckles belonged to my brother. Brother, I called out to him. He didn't respond, but he started unbuttoning my shirt, downward. I shivered. He rubbed my earlobe. Good, let's check your temperature, brother. Why are my eyes covered? Because I could hear his breath close to my ear, magnified 1,000 times more than usual, making my heart race. You need to be punished. I have a fever, brother. He patiently tied my wrists, so I had to follow his voice, but then he fell silent, and all I could hear was the friction of the sheets and clothes, and him wrapping a silk ribbon around my wrists. It didn't hurt, nor was it upsetting, but it was deeply bitter. Just like my brother means to me, brother, I was wrong. I had to plead with him. He hummed softly, and I couldn't discern his attitude in the darkness. He took the thermometer from under my arm, apparently checking the reading. Where did you go wrong? I shouldn't have lied to you. I shouldn't have kept in touch with Yuze, but you know, brother, I contacted Yuze and them because I really wanted to. A warmth touched my forehead, probably my brother checking my temperature with his own. That's not it, Luyu. It's not that you lied that made me angry. It's that you deliberately let yourself catch a cold, Luyu. Do you understand? My brother forced my legs apart with his knee. You're hurting yourself because of me, so I want to kill myself. Lu Ming says everyone's world is different, and in his world, there's only me, so don't make brother sad, don't make brother suffer, okay? His kiss landed on my neck, wet. I'm afraid one day I'll go mad, and won't be able to love you anymore. I felt his gentle bite. His voice gradually turned into a painful reminiscence. Even if you put a knife to brother's throat, or break brother's leg, what can I do? I'm willing to endure it, but you're sick, you're in pain, you're uncomfortable. What do you want me to do? I'm going crazy, so please, torment brother a bit more, don't hurt yourself. Reflecting back, my brother has always been like this, even covered in blood, he would still hold me tight. I clung to my brother's neck, but I love you too. Brother, you should trust me more. I love you too. Those words felt like fireworks suddenly bursting in the air. I could feel it. My brother was stunned. The next second, I somewhat regretted it. My brother too went crazy. Tears uncontrollably spurred by physiological stimuli. My heart clenched tight. At that moment, I finally understood. My brother's pain also tightly bound me. His kiss fell on my heart, invasive, plundering. Creatures in the dark are like this, unable to yearn for light. So they always draw light from each other. As a child, I was afraid of the dark, afraid of falling into an unseen abyss, but if my brother was the abyss itself, I was willing to fall into it. Brother, I unconsciously called out his name. My brother lifted the black cloth, and I looked into his eyes. His eyes sparkled, like the most ancient stars in the universe, burning in my heart. I felt a shameful urge to cry. His slightly hard teeth pressed into the skin of my neck. You said, brother is your dog, so what is this dog doing to you now? He said he doesn't hold grudges, but clearly, he holds deep grudges. 19. The thin morning light fell on the bedding. I moved my arm, and my brother hugged me tighter. Other sisters cling to their brothers like octopuses, but my brother clings to me like an octopus. His prominent nose rubbed against my neck. I wasn't sure if it was intentional. Rubbing against the red marks, it hurt a bit. Brother, you were so passionate last night. I thought you wouldn't bear to leave me like this. He buried his head in my neck and laughed. With a heavy nasal tone, he teased my heart with each laugh. Sorry, couldn't hold back. His apology was insincere. Shall I make it up to you? He straightened me up, letting me straddle him. The morning light coincidentally fell on my brother's eyebrows and eyes. He squinted reflexively, his hand caressing my waist, his face as exquisite as if sculpted by the most famous ancient Greek sculptor. I leaned over and bit my brother's shoulder. He reached out to lift my falling hair. I ground my teeth, imagining how my brother handled me last night. I was a bit angry, so I bit down hard. He hissed, endure it. I pinched his neck. He obediently nodded, and I looked down at the teeth marks left on his body. My teeth are really good, such a beautiful proportion. TSK. I hadn't finished admiring, when my brother suddenly flipped the blanket, wrapping me into his arms. My vision plunged into darkness, surrounded by his scent. His kiss landed on my spine, like the lingering warmth of the morning lifting its tail tone. Deadly. My brother caught a cold. He brought it upon himself. Neither of us ever had good health. Now my breathing is clear. Wrapped in his coat, he sniffed. Should we go to the hospital? I touched his forehead. It's nothing. He rubbed my palm. Yuze is very likely involved with an illegal pharmaceutical factory, but he's cunning. I was investigating him even before you took action. It's just a pity. We're lacking some key evidence. indeed, whether in his past life or this one. My brother had investigated Jose, but clearly, both times he failed to catch him slipping. However, my brother was investigating him concerning the illegal pharmaceuticals. And Jose, he might still be involved in another, even more dangerous activity. I tugged at my brother's sleeve. I think Jose and Duanyu might be conspiring to commit insurance fraud. My brother paused. You mean, Duanyu approached me first, and then Jose took his chance, getting close to me, getting to know me, and finally marrying me only to kill me and commit fraud. It was a bizarre suspicion, but my brother's eyes darkened for a moment, especially when he heard to kill me. Their IDs might both be fake. Brother, you could start looking into that. My brother stared at me for a long while. Then he laughed. What, do you want to be a little detective now? Actually, my brother's job really is that of a detective, a private detective, but it's a completely different type of work from the detectives in literature, and as most people understand in reality, I don't like his job at all, because although my brother is smart, he has no formal education. Back then, our family's finances could only support one of us in school. I went to high school. So he had to do this shady job to support me. There was a time when he came home covered in bruises every day. Later, I found out that the tasks he took involved underground fighting. Such a private detective, clearly, as long as there's money involved, he would do anything. Luyu, my brother's nasal voice brought me back to reality. I looked up, unexpectedly. My brother wrapped a scarf around me. Through the thick cashmere, he kissed me. Thank you for standing by my side. I was stunned. Then suddenly felt a tingling in my nose. I've always stood by your side. I will never stray far in this life. Silly brother. After winter, the first spring flowers bloomed. I stood in front of the window counting the ice crystals, with the indoor heating creating a dense fog. A child nearby was solving practice problems. This was my last job before graduating from summer vacation, tutoring part-time. I looked through the glass outside. The thin light reflected on the melting snow. Someone leaned against a silver second-hand Santana watching me. My brother wore a camel-colored cashmere sweater, too pale, blending into the white expanse of the snowy field, standing far away. I wasn't even sure if he was spacing out or watching me, until my phone in my pocket vibrated. It was his message. Stop looking at me, Teacher Lu, focus on teaching. The curiosity of the kid next to you is overflowing. I remained silent, turned my head, and met the gaze of the child who had just been earnestly memorizing vocabulary. Now her eyes sparkled. Sister, what's the situation with that man? Is he your boyfriend? I ruffled her head. My thoughts returned to the subject at hand, as the melting snow, piled up like mountains, quietly overflows throughout the silent winter. Stepping on the creaking, melting snow, I went out and met Lu Ming. He opened his arms to me. Hey, be careful. I fell into his embrace. It was a slip. And as he wrapped his arms around my waist, I stayed held in that position, my breath dissipating in waves. He adjusted my hat, pulling it over my head. In my dim, swaying vision, he leaned down and kissed me. On the way home, he held my hand, merely because the thin ice on the road could make one slip. I would never admit that I was just seeking the warmth of his touch. As we walked, he spoke. Do you remember the town we used to live in? My brother and I didn't live in this city before. After our parents disappeared, my brother brought me here. The police officer who investigated our parents' disappearance seems to have been transferred here. The day before yesterday, I ran into him. A tightness seized my chest. I opened my mouth but didn't know how to respond, so I just gripped his hand tighter. It's okay. His voice carried a comforting tone that merged into the vast white void. I provided some clues for the capture of Yuze. Probably, it was to thank me. My brother and I reached our front door. A plainclothes police officer was standing there. His hair had grayed more since the last time I saw him, yet his gaze was as sharp as ever, or rather, honed by the years into something even more formidable. The middle-aged officer's eyes lingered on the hands my brother and I held, his look somewhat playful. Long time no see. The bond between you siblings is still as strong. 21. It's been over 7 years, hasn't it, little you? And yes, Lu Ming. It's been so long. You two haven't changed much. My brother and I were sitting on one side of the sofa. The middle-aged officer smiled at us, the wrinkles at the corners of his eyes unfolding, an amiability that made it hard to gauge his sincerity. I remember when I was handling your parents' case, your sister was still in high school. He gestured to his own waist to indicate her height at the time. I was also a rookie cop back then, and yet I still haven't been able to fully resolve this disappearance case. This has been a burden in my years of policing. That's why I dislike dealing with older cops. They know the art of communication too well and how to probe into people's hearts, and my brother, obviously, was more adept at handling this than I was. Officer Wong, is that banner for me? I just helped you a little, and you even came to visit. I'm really flattered. My brother was all smiles. But the older man's gaze remained fixed on him. After a moment, he also smiled. Thank you for your assistance in capturing Yuze and his criminal gang. The case is going to court next week. If you're interested, you could attend. Here, the banner. He handed the banner to my brother, who reached out to take it, but halfway through, he stopped. But, speaking of which, after all these years, have you two discovered anything new about your parents' disappearance? I suddenly stood up. The coffee table shook slightly due to my movement. Officer Wong looked at me with interest, while my brother reached out to steady me. Sorry, the water in the kitchen must be boiling. I'll make you some tea. My steps were a bit frantic as I opened the kitchen door. Leaning against the sink, I gasped for air. My heart was racing too fast. As the sun set, I stood enveloped in a vanishing shadow, the foam in the sink trembling. Something wasn't right. This wasn't like the past life. Why was that case being brought up again? Was it because I provided my brother with a clue, and he just happened to meet Officer Wong? Had the timeline shifted, just when my brother and I were finally getting our lives on track? Living like normal people, please, no. I clenched my fists tightly, letting the pain bring back my sanity. From the living room, the conversation between my brother and Officer Wong was faintly audible. My sister has always been timid, as you know. Our parents disappeared when we were just kids. You scared her just now. My brother's voice was calm and firm. Oh, I've always found it odd. The parents disappeared. Yet you and your sister don't seem anxious. Do you think your parents are alive? Some were unknown to you, or are they dead? Officer Wong's probing questions were meant to stir emotions. After a moment of silence, I heard my brother say, I think they're dead. Then Officer Wong made a sound of acknowledgement. If my dad were alive, that gambler would probably smash everything just to take the house I bought for my sister to pay off his debts. If my mom were alive, she'd probably never let my sister go to university. She'd force her to go out and sell herself. So whether they are alive or not, I hope they are dead. There was a long silence, and Officer Wong didn't speak again. Are you trying to morally blackmail me? Think whatever you want. My sister has been in the kitchen for quite some time. I'll go check on her. The sound of the kitchen sliding door being pulled was followed by my brother embracing me. I realized then that I was shaking. Looking up, I saw the boundary between light and dark. It turned out we had always been lost in the darkness. The living room, where Officer Wong was brightly lit. Our kitchen, unable to hold on to the last glimmer of the sunset, was swallowed up into a damp, oppressive cage. I heard Officer Wong loudly say, but the law is unsympathetic. One is dead, one is missing, the main culprit. I will definitely catch him. It is my duty as a police officer. I shuddered. My brother scoffed. He lifted my chin and kissed me. Quite rebellious, isn't it? In the living room, Officer Wong loudly discussed his ideals, while in the dark kitchen, my brother's hand slipped inside my shirt. Caressing my waist, he kissed my nose, lips, and neck, whispering softly, indulging in the most fallen acts. My vision swayed. I caught a glimpse of the bright light in the living room. Perhaps, I had been in the deepest hell all along, so I am not afraid of the dark, and I also despise the light. 22. May just welcomed the intense chirping of the summer cicadas. I was sitting at the entrance of the police station, surrounded by people coming and going. It wasn't until I saw that man with graying hair, Officer Wong, though middle-aged, he still exuded vitality. Stretching while clutching his leather wallet, he spotted me. Hey, little yo, you've been visiting this old man quite frequently lately. I handed him the milk tea I was holding. He complained about not being used to the drinks of the younger generation, yet he took a big sip. So, I heard you're graduating soon. How's your brother? I ignored his question and said, our old house back home is going to be demolished. He raised an eyebrow. Oh, that self-built house. That's great news. That area is being developed. You should get a decent compensation. I fell silent for a while, quietly looking up at him. When I was a kid, my parents used to hit me. The setting sun was reflected in my pupils. I watched as the expression on the police officer's face grew serious. I was young and didn't understand. It hurt when they hit me. Maybe it is indeed possible to do something utterly outrageous. Officer Wong's smile completely vanished from his face. Police are always so sharp, Perhaps his rapidly working mind had already run through the causes and consequences 1,000 times over. I turned around and left him. 23. When I got home, my brother had already prepared a full table of food. I told him I'd finish class at 4. It was already 6, I suddenly remembered. The first time I came back to life, my brother was also sitting on the sofa waiting for me. I walked up to him and took his hand. Bro, I called out to him. He seemed to be sealed in the continuously setting sun, holding my wrist. He hugged me. Where have you been? I went to see Officer Wong. I promised my brother I wouldn't lie to him again. He sighed and ruffled my hair. Fool. It seemed as if a lot of words could be hidden in actions, like when my brother lifted me up, kissed me. Like when his fingers ran through my hair, winding around again and again. If everything in the world had a temperature, then I hate the intense heat of summer. Shall we eat first? His fingers brushed away my bangs, breathing near my lips. I tightened my grip around his neck. What are we eating? Brother. Food. Brother. We mixed up each other's predicates. He looked down at me, then pulled me into his embrace. Outside, a bicycle bell rang. The pungent scent of someone's Sichuan pepper drifted in through the window, but I knew this summer was almost over, so I had to kiss him as if fighting against time. I wanted to melt him into my heart, etch him into my brain, never to forget in this lifetime. 24. I called my brother, asked if he could come to my graduation ceremony. My brother responded softly on the phone, non-committal. I'm not sure. I might have a job tomorrow helping a client find a cat. If you don't come, you're dead. I threatened through gritted teeth. He laughed. What kind of death? I'll never want you again in this lifetime. He was silent on the phone, then remarked, that indeed would be an irreversible loss. Actually, I still didn't know whether my brother would come, but I am the valedictorian, meant to give a speech. The money for my schooling came from my brother fighting in underground boxing rings. He kept it a secret from me, saving money by eating only pickles and steamed buns for a month. He's the superhero called brother, earning every bit from unimaginable hardships. I wanted him at least to know that his sister had made something of herself. But when I actually got on stage, the hall was packed with people. I hadn't seen my brother before going up, and I didn't know if he was hidden among them. Still, I mentioned him in my speech, thanking my brother, without whom I wouldn't be here today. I felt he probably didn't hear it. He was likely still out helping that client find their cat. I should understand my brother more. After all, when everything is accounted for, I still owe him. I stepped down from the stage, and someone stood in front of me. It seemed like a fool bringing flowers to his girlfriend. Until I realized this fool had my brother's face, I was stunned. That was the first time I received flowers from my brother. Flowers. His tie was slightly askew, clearly just having met with a client, perhaps even turning down a significant commission. He leaned forward, smiling at me. Hey, little yo, I bought some white roses. You look prettier than the roses. During the 15 minutes I walked with my brother through the bustling playground, I counted a total of 27 girls sneaking glances at him. 3 girls asked for his WeChat, treating me as if I were invisible. I was somewhat relieved that my brother had never spent time on a college campus. Otherwise, who knows what kind of wealthy, beautiful rivals might have appeared. Many graduates were taking photos on the playground. I tugged at my brother's sleeve. Bro, let's take a photo together. I rarely took photos with Lu Ming, because I used to think there was nothing worth capturing with my controlling brother. This was the first time I wanted to keep something with him. He looked at me with lowered eyelids. The emotion in my brother's eyes was so intense. I was somewhat glad it was a crowded playground. We asked a young girl to take a few pictures for us. When she returned the phone to me, the girl smiled. You and your boyfriend look great together. Thank you. I didn't correct her. I think my boyfriend and I are a great match too. When I referred to my brother as my boyfriend, the look in his eyes was almost ferocious. You're saying it for the first time. What? The summer wind stirred up the hustle and bustle, lifting his tie. My brother never belonged to the youth or the naivety that was mine, yet, he made my heart race more than anyone I had ever brushed past. In the small alley 100 meters from the bustling playground, the summer breeze blew through. My brother pinned me against the wall and kissed me. It's the first time you called me your boyfriend, baby. I've waited so long for those words. His kiss nearly made my knees buckle. Life seemed to have entered a cycle of improving fortunes. My brother and I kept our lips sealed about a certain matter. Waking up in the morning, he held me in his arms as we brushed our teeth, our reflections mirrored in the glass. We each went to our own jobs. Sometimes he would bring a bunch of delicate white roses to pick me up. Sometimes I would bring him the latest dish I had been researching to try. My brother said this was returning kindness with ingratitude. Then the rainy season of that summer always brought heavy downpours. Our travel plans were forced to cancel. I didn't know whom to be angry with, so I made a fuss with my brother. He held me in his arms and told me to sleep. Later I really fell asleep in his arms. Waking up to the continuous rain tapping against the window panes, the sunset streaked through the raindrops, and the street ads lit up one by one, my brother kept holding me in that same posture. Still angry, he tousled my bangs and asked in a hoarse voice. I looked up and kissed his lips. Dummy. One evening, I came home early. It was my brother's birthday, and I wanted to surprise him, so I sneaked into his study, a place more like a clutter of books and miscellaneous items, where I used to study and solve problems, now used by my brother as his office. I planned to secretly hide his gift in the cabinet. While opening the drawer, I accidentally glanced at the stack of white papers on the corner of the desk. They were just ordinary sheets of paper, but it was clear someone had used them as padding for writing before, leaving some impressions. My gaze fixed on a pencil that had rolled to the side, possessed by some impulse. I picked up the pencil and began tracing over the impressions. Slowly, the message my brother had previously written began to emerge in the graphite gray. 9/17 demolition. It seemed to be the date our old family home was scheduled to be demolished. A chill seized my heart suddenly. No one knew the secrets hidden in that old house. In my past life, I didn't even live to see the day the old house was demolished. But as the date drew nearer, it dragged along my anxious heart towards the abyss. Until a calm and gentle voice pulled back my thoughts. Little yo, what are you doing? My brother leaned against the doorframe, calmly raising his eyebrows as he looked at me. Brother. I instinctively pulled down the marked paper and crumpled it. My brother stared at the crumpled paper in my hand. What is it? Let your brother have a look. I lightly tossed the ball of paper into the trash can and walked over, looping my arm around his neck. My brother bent down to look at me. His eyes were like the clearest colored glass in the world. How could I bear to see them shatter? I stood on my tiptoes, gently kissed the corner of his lips, and he let me do as I wished, even holding me by the waist. Happy birthday, brother, I whispered to him softly, handing him the prepared gift, an album made up of photos of us both. We solemnly placed it on the shelf next to the refrigerator. Just 2 pictures, he said with a hint of self-mockery. It will be filled up, I said. Picking up the instant camera, my brother was by my side, with the gentle glow of the candle on the cake behind us. His arm rested on the dining table as I leaned my head against him. Brother, smile, and he smiled. It was my brother's 26th birthday. That day, I was still by his side. In fact, every day I spent with him, I was just as clingy, but September 17th was like a curse. It devoured. Officer Wong, I want to confess, I felt like I had dropped a bomb. As a police officer, he should have taken it very seriously. Instead, he didn't handcuff me but invited me to have tea with him upstairs. Officer Wong, did you hear what I said? I said I want to confy. He stopped in his tracks. Young people these days, do you treat the law as a joke? Me? Confession also requires evidence that you have committed a crime. Do you understand? The setting sun stretched the shadows endlessly down the stairs. The police officer stood at the top of the stairs staring at me, and for a moment, it felt like a sharp sword had pierced through me. I steadied myself and said to him word by word, my foster father and mother, I killed them. When I was 12, they were entombed in the walls of our old house. The evidence is, tomorrow, when the house is demolished, you should be able to see their bodies. It was a long stare. I hate eyes that can see through everything, so insightful and penetrating. I prefer my brother's, always gentle no matter when he looked at me. Quite interesting. After a while, the middle-aged officer smiled. But I couldn't smile. The sword of justice finally judged me, punishing the former self who abandoned my brother. Do you siblings take turns confessing or what? However, your brother got ahead of you by a day, she said. My brother, little girl, your family's house is being demolished today, not tomorrow. Did your brother lie to you? He was already detained yesterday and has been taken to the site for DNA testing. The results are about to come out. Do you want to come with me and see who the real culprit is? No wonder, my brother, who never goes on business trips, suddenly had one. No wonder, he didn't delve into what was written on that crumpled piece of paper. It was meant for me to see. No wonder, no wonder. At lunch yesterday, my brother looked at me as if he couldn't bear to let me go. It was clear, he thought he might never see me again. I don't know how I ended up in the police car with Officer Wong. Nor do I remember what he whispered in my ear. as the wind swept silently past the street scenes outside the window. For the first time, I thought about rescuing my brother. They say the start of autumn has arrived, and with it, my summer has gone. 28. My name is Lu Yu. The trafficker said it was embroidered on the cloth I was wrapped in when I was stolen. The year I was sold to my adoptive parents, I was 3 years old. My adoptive mother said, "A girl is just a loss of money, isn't she?" The trafficker replied, "You're offering too little money. Well, she's not your own flesh and blood, so you can use her however you want. She's so pretty, her body would definitely sell well. Besides, listen, she doesn't cry or make a fuss." Quietly, let me tell you, I stole her from a commercial street next to a university in the city. She's got cultural genes. The trafficker marketed me like a product. But my adoptive parents still haggled over the price until the trafficker said, "The son you lost is called Lu Ming, right? Well, isn't that a coincidence? This little girl is called you, Lu Ming, feeding on the wild fruits. This girl might just bring your son back to you." My adoptive father spat on the ground and rubbed his nose. What a load of nonsense. My son is called Lu Ming because our chickens never crow on time. If she was called Goose, I might believe she could bring our boy back. But in the end, they still bought me. Because I was cheap, because that thing called an adoptive father leered at me, sizing me up from top to bottom. He rubbed my small arms and legs. "She's not his own daughter." "Heh, wait till you grow up a bit. It seems like others always forget what happens in childhood, but my memories are vivid. Every day felt painful. Sometimes it was the inexplicable beatings from my mother. Sometimes it was being chased and bitten by the dogs at home. Sometimes it was the pain of unbearable hunger. When I was 8, Lu Ming was found. Yes, Lu Ming was their biological son. That night, my mother made me sleep in the pigsty, where I saw him. He wasn't much better off than me, dirty, but with very beautiful eyes, the likes of which I had never seen before, just like his mother's. Actually, I liked my mother, because although she always hit and kicked me, she gave me food. In my world, there was no concept of someone who was kind to me. A mother who fed me was. I despised Lu Ming, ever since he returned. My mother stopped feeding me meals. I'd actually fought with the family pig for food. Later, Lu Ming secretly shared his meals with me. He said, "I'm your brother." I hadn't learned to speak properly, but I mimicked his tone and mumbled something unclear. I despised Lu Ming, but subconsciously, I felt attached to him. I felt like Lu Ming took everything from me, yet he was also the reason I survived. So, one day, I quietly took the initiative to hold his hand. I watched as his pupils slowly dilated. That year, he was 13 and I was 10. I had no idea what kind of shattered, hollow, and demeaning feelings my brother harbored for me. I only knew that my brother was the top student in the county, and he was very clean. My brother was different from me, and I despised him even more for it. But when that man hit my back with a wine bottle, dragged me by my hair against the wall, and left my body covered with scabs that healed and reopened, it was only my brother who pulled me into his room to apply medicine. His cold fingers traced the wounds on my back, and I looked up at the moon. That night, my brother held me in his arms. I didn't know what decision my 15-year-old brother made that night. That strange-smelling little house in the countryside. Every day, I continued to live in agony. My mother started doing bizarre things, and my father dragged me out of my room to beat me. My brother remained silent throughout. I only remember one day, I was gasping on the floor after a beating from my father. One of my teeth had fallen out near my brother's feet. I looked up at my brother. I said, "Save me." His pupils trembled. I blamed him for his indifference, but at that time, I didn't understand. They were his biological parents. He stood by their side. The first time I got my period, my mother was overjoyed. She said, "You can go out and earn money now. Are you happy?" I felt that my mother had almost gone mad by then. She hid in her room every day, snorting that white powdered substance. My father had gone mad too. He kept losing money gambling, selling everything at home that could be sold. The world was already distorted. The only clear thing in that continuously churning world was Lu Ming. He became a county-level top student. He was very smart. Only in his arms did I feel safe. Yet I still resented him for not being able to rescue me. I didn't know that he had been secretly planning something for a year. When my father gambled away all the money, the only thing left to mortgage was the house. He also planned to borrow money to build a smaller self-built house. That day, my mother was unusually gentle. "Xiao Yu, do you remember those pictures I showed you before? If you do what they do in those pictures, you can earn a lot of money. You know, you earn money, build a big house for your mom and dad." At that time, I really didn't understand that this was selling. I didn't realize how humiliating it was, how dangerous, how utterly insane. They knew I didn't understand, but a kind of fear started rising from the depths of my heart, because my mother was pressing down on my body, making me kneel in front of my father, that drunken slob. Tilting his head to look at me, that woman, crazed from sniffing powder, did everything her husband said, because he gave her money. Let your dad try first to see if you have the skills. Okay, my mom wanted me to unzip my dad's pants with my teeth. I struggled frantically. In that moment, I felt terrified, unsure of what I was afraid of. The world turned upside down, pouring into black paint. It churned and tore me apart. The pain was intense. It turned out to be my mom pulling at my scalp. I thought I lost another tooth when my dad's liquor bottle hit my head. Everything was tearing apart, crumbling. I wondered, is human existence merely to suffer? I asked why. Why me? What did I do wrong? It hurts so much. Do you even realize how much it hurts? But there's no one in the world who feels sorry for you. My brother came home from school and pushed open the door. This was the scene he saw. My mom was forcing white powder up my nose, and my dad was nearly stripping me bare. The liquor bottle shattered, and my palm was impaled on it, blood gushing out. This world isn't good, neither for me nor for my brother. When did my mom let go of me? When did my dad lower his hands? I don't know. I only saw the world soaked in red, warm liquid gently sprayed onto my bare skin, fireworks outside, the screams of two grown animals pierced through my eardrums. I couldn't feel it. Couldn't understand why they were screaming like that. It's just pain. I go through it hundreds of times every day. I stared fixedly at my brother. His axe fell from his hands, spraying out damp, warm liquid. It stained my eyelashes, and I squinted my eyes. My brother, expressionless, told me to stand back. If they really find out, I can't let the police trace your DNA. His voice was so calm, it felt like he was just serving me a bowl of noodles. It seemed like the most ordinary day amidst countless others we had endured. That night, I cleaned myself up and put on my favorite clothes, sat at the table, cleaned every nook and cranny of the house, placed a bunch of flowers in a battered vase. My brother was in the kitchen, mixing fresh mortar for a new wall. Everything was taken care of. My brother ruffled my hair, and I knew. The next day I went to the police station crying, "Woo-woo, officer, my parents haven't come home for 2 days. I'm so scared." Were my parents missing, dead? Neither my brother nor I knew. That year my brother was 19, and I was 16. My brother said he'd earn money to support me, but he never told me that. Just before stepping into our house, he had shoved his college acceptance letter into his pocket. 29. A loud explosion jolted me from my thoughts. Was there some festival today? Fireworks? I looked up, watching the sky burst into splendor, casting light on everyone's faces. Falling into the long river merged with police lights. My brother, wearing handcuffs, accompanied by a police officer, standing not far away. Our house had been partially demolished. Police officers came and went, incessantly handling the scene. Did my brother see me? I don't know. Actually, he always managed to spot me accurately. That time at the house where he tutored students, at my final graduation ceremony, a few steps forward, the neon lights casting on my face. My brother has the most unforgettable gaze I've ever known. He's a madman. His love for me is despicable and twisted. He's the kind who would lock me up without a second thought. He's the one who had feelings for me since he was 12. Turn back, please, turn back. Forget the body embraced by your brother, the murmurs in the night, the intertwining kisses. Then, all of this will no longer concern you. But why do I still love him so much? I walk faster, begin to run, passing through layers of neon lights, darting past the stars scattered by fireworks. I hear voices stirring. The summer wind blows through. My brother stands on the platform, his hands are cuffed. I rush over to kiss him. Our lips crash under the falling fireworks. In reality, I've always been in an endless darkness. My brother is my only star. You must let me kiss him at the end, because he is my only star. Police officers rush over to separate us. My brother looks down. He doesn't speak to me again. As if I were a stranger suddenly entangling him. Your brother didn't want you to be an accomplice, Officer Wong says beside me. Lighting a cigarette, I stare at the fading fireworks in the sky and softly say, my foster father almost violated me. My foster mother is forcing me to take drugs, so they don't deserve to die. Only my brother deserves to die, right? Why don't you arrest them, Officer Wong? Is it because you can't? He ignores my emotional provocation. Murder is against the law. That's the legal rule. I regret not being able to put those scumbags in jail. But whether they deserve to die is for the law to decide. Yeah, great. I rest my chin on my hand, looking out the window. Light ignites the deep black night. The law. Why isn't there a law to protect brothers who protect their sisters? No one answers me. I look down. After a while, I turn to Officer Wong beside me. My brother seems like a madman. Can he get a reduced sentence? Epilogue. I always feel my brother has grown thinner after coming out of prison. He also seems colder towards me. This is 3 days after I brought my brother home. I don't know if it's because of his buzz cut. He lost some of his former gentleness and gained some sharp coldness. At 6 in the morning, my brother wakes up on time. I set an alarm to get up this early, because I'm afraid my brother might just run away. I hurriedly serve him a bowl of porridge. Thank you, my brother says to me. My brother actually thanked me, even when our relationship was at its coldest. He had never thanked me before. I'm stunned there, watching my brother eat his porridge methodically. My mom also comes down the stairs. Xiaoming, are you used to the room we prepared for you? Yes, my birth mother has been found. My brother was sentenced to 7 years for intentional injury. The DNA comparison and on-site investigation results are out. The cause of death for the man and woman was not due to axe wounds, but from shards of a beer bottle. The police speculate that my foster mother was affected after consuming a large amount of psychiatric drugs. This triggered a stress response. The DNA found in the wound that caused my foster father's death was also my foster mother's. In other words, it was indeed my foster mother who caused my foster father's death and then committed suicide. The reason why my brother and I have different memories might be due to the traumatic, bloody scene and the stress it caused us, as well as the bag of white powder my foster mother tried to force-feed me. My brother, having demonstrated good behavior, was released 2 years early. During these 5 years, thanks also to Officer Wong's assistance, I found my birth father and mother. Both are university professors, and they have been looking for me for decades. The moment they saw me, my mother hugged me tightly and cried uncontrollably. Only then did I realize that I, who had been abandoned, abused, and trampled upon, was also the child whom 2 parents on the other side of the world longed for day and night. My parents are very kind to me. They are willing to fulfill all my wishes. For the first time, I lived in a big house with stairs. For the first time, I used a bathroom with a bathtub. And after finding out about me and Lu Ming, my parents didn't prevent me from being with him. I thought my brother and I had finally reached a happier phase. On the day I picked up my brother from prison, I couldn't stop talking to him. I found our dad and mom. I have a family now. Brother, I got a teaching certificate. I can start working as a teacher next month. However, in 3 days, he only spoke 4 sentences to me. Oh, okay, thank you. I felt like I was going to explode. My brother wasn't like this before. He used to smile at me, comfort me, and speak tenderly, but now, he hadn't even said I miss you to me. There was a knock on the bedroom door. It was my brother. I thought he came to make up or finally wanted to say something nice to me, but he was wearing a black windbreaker, with a backpack, looking like he was about to leave. Luyo, say goodbye to uncle and aunt for me. I won't bother you anymore. I'm leaving. He was really leaving. His sister was still standing in front of him. Yet he was leaving. My heart felt like it was being crushed. I was furious. Where are you going? I asked him. Going home. He looked down. No, brother, this is also your home. I grabbed him. Since you found your birth parents, don't call me brother anymore. His cold voice seemed to pierce through my heart. Aren't you still my boyfriend? I tugged at his sleeve, not believing that my brother would deny even this, considering how he used to react just because I mentioned a boyfriend. After a pause, he remained silent. He brushed my hand aside. I've been in for 5 years, no contact for 5 years. How can I still be considered a girlfriend? I stood there, stunned, looking at him in disbelief. No, bro, what's wrong with you? I was really angry, and a bit panicked but couldn't express it. You've been acting weird since you came back. I never expected him to push me away. It wasn't really a push, more like a gesture to move me aside, but I was so angry, I felt dizzy. And so I fell against the doorknob. Unfortunately, there was a splinter on the door from where over time, my arm scraped against it, leaving a trail of blood. It looked quite scary. Blood began to bead and trickle. My brother's expression visibly shook. He tried to help me, but I shoved him away. Get lost, Lu Ming, you don't want me anymore, do you? He froze, listening to me. Did you figure it out in prison, that this sister, who's only dragging you down, isn't worth supporting, just like that. You're ditching me, you're really a jerk, just go, I don't need you anymore either, stay away as far as possible, I don't even want to see you, I hate you the most, but that's not true, I really miss you, you're not a jerk at all, how could I possibly hate you? I was speaking sarcastically. I always use sarcasm to confirm whether my brother still loves me or not, but this time, my brother paused for a moment, his eyes flickered, then he got up, and he really left, he really walked away from me. He really doesn't want me anymore. I sat on the ground, unable to understand why my brother would do this, unable to understand why he changed after coming back from prison. Tears started to fall uncontrollably. Anyone who made me cry, I could stop immediately, but not when it's my brother. For days after Lu Ming was released from prison, I cut off contact with him. Where's Xiao Ming? He didn't come home yesterday. The afternoon sun gently poured over the sofa, and my mom sat beside me. Caught off guard by this mention, I couldn't help but feel a twinge in my nose. He doesn't want me anymore, probably figured it out in prison, thinks I'm not good enough for him. I rested my chin on my knees. My mom reached out, rubbing my back. I don't think it's like that. People often can't help but reflect on their own lives when they see the happiness of others. You've told me about Xiao Ming's family. I think maybe, when he sees you, he's reminded of himself. Could it be that he feels he's not worthy of you? I looked up at my mom. Xiao Ming, the way he looks at you, there's love, but it's always filled with sadness. Perhaps, for him, watching you from afar is better than being by your side. I pondered my mom's words. She patted my shoulder, handing me the car keys. Do you want to go after him? Give him courage. There's no such thing as deserving or not in this world. You are very important to me. You are the most suitable for me. Where could my brother go? Where could my brother's home be? The setting sun bathes the old neighborhood in its fading glow. This, the only place he could call home, is the house where we lived together for over a decade. I have the key. When I open the door, a wave of alcohol hits me. My brother drinks. I remember he never used to drink much. I tiptoe barefoot through the clutter of scattered slippers, a space I tidy up every month. It's never too dirty. Bottles and jars are strewn beside the table. A man, drunk, leans against it. I walk over to him, observing the object he clutches in his hands. It's a thin photo album of us together, the last birthday gift I gave him. I shake him gently. Get up. His eyes squint drunkenly, and as I sit in front of him, I ask, why did you let go of Lu Yu? His eyes immediately redden. I didn't let her go. I didn't let go. Drunk. He's almost panicked, also somewhat lost, his vacant eyes staring at me. Then why did you leave her? Because she doesn't need a brother anymore. His voice is soft and moist. She doesn't need one anymore. If she stays with her brother, people will talk. Why would she be with someone who's been in jail? It can't be like this. It shouldn't be. She needs to be okay. I lean on the table, playing with his bangs. What if she doesn't care? My brother opens his eyes to look at me, but others do. I can't let my sister be the subject of rumors, speculation, and humiliation. I hold his face, looking into his eyes. Lu Yu loves you. Lu Ming laughs self-deprecatingly. What's that worth? It's because I was the only one who loved her before. That's why she loved me. But now, she has her parents, she has a home, she has people who love her. My love is nothing to brag about. I feel like my brother is breaking apart. The smell of alcohol on him isn't unpleasant at all. Why do I still crave it so much? I look into his eyes and say, only where you are, that's my home. He laughs. That's not true. I lift his chin and kiss him. Our tongues entwine, and he suddenly opens his eyes. A moment of clarity returns. He sees me. It's a dream, I hear him say. Yes, it's a dream, brother. You can do whatever you want to me. He presses me against the table and kisses me. I hear him say so many things to me. I miss you. Don't go. I love you. I like you so much. He says everything I wanted to hear. In the silent loneliness of the night, I have spent countless nights in this room, in this spot, with my brother. Through many a humid, oppressive night, the night breeze ushers in endless darkness. My stars light up again, faintly illuminating the night. They bring a veil of gossamer into sweet